KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Searching and coping in Texas. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Late tonight will mark 1 week since catastrophic flooding began in central Texas.
Over 2,000 responders from across the nation remain on the ground in Texas Hill Country. Their focus, rescue, and reunification. In Kerr County alone, 96 confirmed deaths in last week's flood, including 60 adults and 36 children.
The number of missing remains at 161, and there remain 5 campers and 1 counselor from Camp Mystic among the missing.
Kerrville Police spokesman Jonathan Lamb says the state of Texas and federal government have opened a disaster relief center for victims.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. The flooding has killed at least 120 people in all. The Texas governor adding flood relief and warning systems to an upcoming special legislative session. President Trump's ban on birthright citizenship is on hold, blocked by a federal judge in New Hampshire as part of a class action lawsuit. The judge also limiting the scope of the lawsuit to just infants, not parents. It's the first challenge of the birthright ban since the U.S. Supreme Court blocked lower court judges from issuing nationwide injunctions on it. Secretary of State Marco Rubio meeting his Russian counterpart on the sidelines of an Asian summit.
Frustrating and difficult. Secretary Rubio discussing attempts to end the war in Ukraine. But he says Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov put new ideas on the table for a roadmap to peace.
I'll take that back to the president here as early as this evening, and hopefully there's something that we can build on there.
Russia says there was a substantive and frank exchange of views.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Ukraine's President Zelensky says he now has the details and timetable for upcoming weapon supplies from the U.S. after a recent Pentagon delay. At a briefing in Rome, also praising U.S. participation in the latest meeting of countries supporting Ukraine. America's listening to Fox News.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call Cordell & Cordell today, because your business is more than a job, it's your legacy.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it. Guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Just kind of a typical run-of-the-mill summer afternoon. Partly sunny skies, maybe a spot storm. 92, so quite a bit warmer than yesterday. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 74. Friday, partly sunny, a spot storm. But Friday is the hottest day of the week, 95. Expect scattered thunderstorms on Saturday, some with heavy rain and lightning, 89. Quiet Sunday, and 88. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. If you need a new air conditioner installed this summer, call a company you can trust to install your AC properly. That will get your home cool and comfortable fast. For a free estimate on a new air conditioner, visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
These officers are doing a tremendous job. They're great patriots. If you expose them because of, statements like have been made by Democrats and others on the left, usually, mostly, I think probably exclusively, you put them in great danger, tremendous danger. And it's sort of funny when people picket in front of Columbia, in front of Harvard, and they have masks on, more than masks. I mean, you can't see anything. Nobody complains about that. But when a patriot who works for ICE or Border Patrol puts a mask on so that they won't recognize him and his family, so they can lead a little bit of a normal life after having worked so hard and so dangerously, there's a problem with that. So they have this is the problem with the Democrats. They have a lot of bad things going on in their heads. They've really become they've lost their confidence, number one, and they've become somewhat deranged.
They become somewhat deranged. President Trump, this was from yesterday. He's talking about the masks that are being worn by ICE agents as they're moving across the country. And that's our question to you. The Democrats say, unmask the ICE agents. Why do they get to hide their identity? Why do they get to be, their words, behave the way they're behaving, and we don't get to see who they are? Take the masks off of the ICE agents. Now, at the same time, we see that they're aggressively doxing anybody who they possibly can, and they're going after these individual agents, but taking it a step further, going after their families, making wild and violent threats against them. And we've seen multiple instances where, because these ICE agents are present in certain places, they're being ambushed. And now, how many people were arrested for attempted murder just the other day? A handful of them.
It's close to a dozen.
The question on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll today, which you can find on the Annie Fry YouTube channel, should ICE agents wear masks? President Trump speaking there as to why they are, but I think it's important to dive a little bit deeper into why this is even being discussed. And I think what Americans collectively hate the most is hypocrisy. Watching people sway in the wind with what their particular stance is on anything, because they just need to suit the end that they've already determined. The ends justify the means. Whatever you need to do to get there, in their mind, all immigration, not just good, but necessary. And if you're talking about the Democrats who are in power, it's necessary to reshape the power structure in this country. So we have to figure out a way to get a bunch of people in here. They figured that part out. You can tell they're making this up as they go. You can tell that they have this ends justifies the means mentality, because they just know what they want, and they are willing to do whatever they need to do to continue to satisfy the end that they have determined. There isn't a right and wrong in anything, because that can all adjust along the way if that's what needs to happen in order to get to the end that was predetermined before any of this begun. I don't know how long ago, when did the immigration problem really start in? How many decades have we been facing what looks to be a contrived plan to bring people into this country?
Ooh, contrived. Gosh, I would say that probably started under Trump. It's been a problem since before Trump, but I would say the effort to expedite it became a problem in reaction
to
Trump.
What I want to know is, when did it become a political effort to use people for a political end by importing them into the country? Because Donald Trump saying build the wall in 2015 and 2016, that establishes that the problem had already begun.
Yes.
Obama, being the deporter-in-chief, indicates to me that the problem had already begun. And President Barack Obama was reacting to it. He was the one who initially was part of the Gang of Eight discussion back and forth with Senate on the DACA program, which I remind you, when DACA was created and they were talking about the people who were brought here by their families. Think about that. There's kind of another marker. They were talking about people who have been brought to this country as minors, babies maybe, but no will of their own. They weren't able to say, Mommy, that's not right, and I'm not going. And they're like, okay, never mind, we won't do it. That's not how that works. You are a child, you go with your parents. Your parents make a decision that goes against the legal structure to come into this country. They bring these kids in, and these kids don't know anything in their life other than America. Now they've got to go back to Guatemala or Ecuador or, some Venezuela, Mexico maybe, and they've never known anything other than America. That was the idea during the Obama administration that said there is a finite group of people, and I think that those people are about our age. I think DACA extends to people who are our age, who are probably in their 40s right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So then that means the problem's been going on for 60 years, right?
Yeah.
You'd think that the people bringing them in would have to be, God willing, at least 20 years old. Maybe not. 60 years of problem? When did we decide to not police our borders? Because I don't think at the beginning of this problem, I don't think people were like, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to gain power. And in a century, the Democrats are going to control everything. Problem begins. Democrats go, we can exploit this.
You and Brad went down to the border.
McAllen, Texas, where this ambush just took place.
And I remember a story coming out of, I don't know whether it was you guys talking to somebody or just something I heard at that time, that people used to swim in the Rio Grande. Like American citizens used to just swim and play in the river.
Like you go to the Huza River?
Yeah.
You have a fun summer time? Same in the Rio Grande.
And the time was 1970s is when they said that people were still doing that. So it was by the 80s that had started to dwindle off. That would work.
So I'm glad that's another interesting point on the timeline, because what likely happened is people were coming across. Were the gangs controlling Mexico at that time the way they are right now? What did they say? 9 gangs control. I think it was 9 gangs control Mexico, but there are some top tier ones, and then there's the people who work underneath them. Was that happening in the 70s? Probably not. But as the border isn't managed from the north or the south, this problem grows, and then it becomes a political poker chip to be utilized in the game for greater gains. And the Democrats saw the opportunity to import people into this country who would then be counted in a census. Like, I can't get out of my head that initially the Democrats were flying people in the dead of night and relocating them to, like, Nebraska. Not just your blue areas, but to other areas. And if you were politically motivated to do that, boy, you could get a lot done before anybody would notice. And it appears as though they did. But enough so that Barack Obama, I don't remember George W. Bush being like super. I was also younger. I was also like in college, in high school and in college. I guess I would have been in mostly college. I don't remember this being a huge issue on George W. Bush's plate, but he had other big issues on his plate. It was a huge issue for Obama, and it was a huge point of contradiction within his party because he was deporting these people, and they were like, you shouldn't do that. So you get to where we are right now. We've got 20-plus million people in this country. The country as a whole has said, this is not sustainable. We can't do this. We need something to change. Donald Trump, we choose you to fix the problem. Cut to today, where you have ICE agents. Now, one of the big concerns that we hear a lot from the Democrats is they hate that they're going into Home Depots and car washes and these places where, in communities where oftentimes, I'm using their words, brown people will work, and they say that they're identifying people on skin color and arresting them. If that's happened, that is a tragedy, and there should be a reprimand for that. I don't stand by that. But let me just for a second, that story I heard was out of California. Let's take it home to Illinois. Illinois is a sanctuary state. Chicago specifically is a sanctuary city. Brandon Johnson has just reiterated he does not care what the federal law is. The law enforcement in Chicago will not cooperate with ICE. Do you know what ICE wants to do? Do you know what ICE has been begging to do? Is to go arrest people from prison. Criminals, and I'm not talking cross-the-border criminals. I'm talking hardened criminals. I'm talking people who are in jail because they committed crimes when they were in here. They go to jail, and in states like Illinois, with morons for governors and mayors, like in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, say, no, you will not. We will protect these people in our prisons from ICE. They will protect the criminals who are in prison from having to encounter ICE. I don't know how else to say it more plainly for everybody to go, well, that seems kind of stupid. You know what? In cities like Chicago, in states like Illinois, in cities like Los Angeles, and states like California, if they would let ICE cooperate with law enforcement locally, then they could get the bad guys who are already rounded up in jail and get them the hell out of this country, out of your cities, out of your states, out of this country. If they were permitted to go in and cooperate with local law enforcement, I think that's where their focus would be. And you would have, as a leftist, as a bleeding heart liberal who cares about these people, and I truly, honestly respect when the issue is motivated by what I believe to be true compassion, mercy, and concern for your fellow man. I'm saying that can't be the only factor, but maybe a little drop, a tinge of that on the right side would be good from time to time too. But you can't think only with your heart and completely dismantle any sort of brain head fact thought that goes into it. If you want to have a conversation about who is being arrested, who is being approached by ICE, and who is being deported, you don't get to say a dang word until your local law enforcement cooperates with ICE so they can handle their business in prisons, in jails. You're protecting all of the bad guys. You're prioritizing the bad guys that are in your prison. You're protecting the people in your prison at the sake of the people in your communities because you want to have a political commercial to run the next time you run for office. It's absolutely shameful, and it's in plain sight. So we can get in these conversations like somebody who cares about this immigrant community, and I think that we should all care about these people. You care about them. And then the fight ends up being, do you think that a cancer-ridden grandma who served her entire life and paid all of her taxes while she's laying in her hospital bed should be able to be deported by ICE? Don't answer that question, because obviously. Respond with the question, do you think that a hardened criminal that's sitting in prison in Los Angeles, California, in Chicago, Illinois, in New York City, New York, do you think that a hardened criminal who's been arrested and is here illegally should get an immediate invitation for ICE to sit down with ICE so that ICE can handle it? Because if you can't answer that question, honestly, I don't even need to bother having the discussion on the other side. Should ICE agents wear masks while the aggressive progressive left is as kooky as they are, and the people who are in power who pay their bills to get them out, pay their bail, Kamala Harris, to get them out of prison, when they've been permitted to behave the way that they're behaving, of course they should be able to wear masks because you guys don't know how to play nice. You guys don't know how to act like grown adults. You guys don't know how to act in a way that is in good faith. All you want is chaos. The more chaos, the more the left is in the headlines. And that's what they want. And I would say, I would give them more credit if I could find any opportunity to do it. The only method of the left right now is chaos. And the only policy position they have is, what did Trump do? We want the other thing. And I just don't have time for a conversation with somebody who thinks like that. I bet you don't either. Should ICE agents wear masks? Yes or no? Annie Fry YouTube channel. Ryan, in the last 24 hours, but even week, there's been so much stuff to talk to Hans von Spakovsky about. But specifically, I'm going to ask him about the birthright citizenship. Another court has come up and said,
thank you.
Sit down. Nope, Trump, you're not allowed to do this. Hans will set us straight.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this conversation because seeing that news, nationwide injunctions were supposed to be a thing of the past, and yet here we are with federal judges still blocking stuff. So I don't know how that works.
If you're thinking long game here, though, every time one of these petulant district judges does something like this, it doesn't even really matter the issue. I think a lot of people are just rolling their eyes. They're like, you're just stringing this out.
You're proving the point.
Yes. Yeah. And when you're stringing it out, Americans are like, come on. This is the best they got. Like I said, they got nothing. Hans von Spakovsky on the Annie Fry Show next.
Ooh, you're taking up a fraction of my mind. Oh, every time I watch you serpentine. Oh, I'm trying.
I've always called Andrea's steak sauce the great equalizer because, honestly, I'm not that great of a cook, and it makes all the stuff that I cook taste really good. My kids don't know the difference, and except when they go over to Grandpa's house, who also uses Andrea's steak sauce, and he is a master chef. Now, then they start to see, there's a little bit of a difference. But, it kind of equalizes out when you have Andrea's steak sauce. So whether you're on the scale like I am, where you're just kind of a novice, but you like making stuff for your family and you make it taste good as you can and easy as you can, or you're at the high end of the scale and you're a craftsman when it comes to your meat, get Andrea's steak sauce and make it a part of your tool belt, so to speak. You will not regret it. If you've never tried it, you really need to this summer. This is the time when you're going to see it in the stores the most. So go to Schnucks or Dierberg's and grab a bottle of Andrea's steak sauce. I always get mine at the restaurant. Highly recommend you do that too. Visit Andrea's Steakhouse in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
Speeding while driving gives you less time to react. Another car could turn out in front of you. A pedestrian could be walking their dog. Follow the speed limit to keep them safe. Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
He's a ghost and I can be a phantom, holding him for ransom. Some boys are trying too hard. He don't try at all though. Younger than my exes, but he act like such a man. So I see nothing better. I keep him forever like a vendetta. I see how this is gonna go. Touch me.
The Supreme Court has sided with the Trump administration for now regarding several thousand probationary federal employees that it's trying to fire. Today, the court allowed the administration to keep the workers off the payroll while lower courts weigh whether the downsizing efforts are legal or not. Two liberal justices, Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson, publicly dissented.
We the people of the United States,
More perfect.
in order to form a more perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hans, welcome back to the show. Lots to talk about with you today. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing just fine, thanks.
Fantastic. This particular court ruling from the Supreme Court talking about the president's ability to, I guess, fire, let go, relieve government federal workers. Can you talk to us about what the president was trying to do? And then we get these courts that come in and say, whoa, not so fast. Now the Supreme Court has ruled.
Well, the president issued an executive order to the Office of Management and Budget and the Office of Personnel Management. OPM is basically the Human Resources Department of the federal government, and the president said to those agencies, "I want you to direct the agencies to come up with plans for reorganizations and reductions in force, in other words, terminations of federal employees, consistent with applicable law." That's a direct quote. Consistent with applicable law.
So do it legally.
Right. So the president was saying, look, come up with the plans for how to restructure these agencies and terminate these employees. And the union representing federal employees went to court and immediately got a federal judge, another one of these rogue judges, say, "Oh, yeah, you're enjoined. You can't do that. It's illegal." Well, that was a ridiculous ruling by that judge, telling the federal government you can't even make plans to terminate anybody, even though you said, "Oh, well, you're only going to do it in compliance with applicable law." So the injunction was appealed, emergency appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court came back 8-1. 8-1. Yeah, even Kagan and Sotomayor joined in, and they stayed that injunction. And they added in the majority opinion, by the way, that the government was actually likely to succeed in its arguments on the merits that what the president did was lawful. And the only person, once again, who dissented was Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who did her usual these days of engaging in an emotional tirade about this without any basis for the law. Look, even Justice Sotomayor, she issued a very short concurrence saying, well, these executive orders, I mean, this is clearly directed at Jackson. The executive order has to do with planning the reductions in force. The plans themselves are not before the court. So it would be premature to do anything about this.
Let me ask you a question. You can answer this however you choose to. Is Ketanji Brown Jackson inept? Does she know how to do her job? Is she posing?
I think that every dissent that she has written in the last month proves that she's really not qualified to be on the court, and she's not going to get qualified because she apparently doesn't care about the law or the Constitution. She sees herself, and I think she's kind of admitted this, she sees herself as a political opponent to the president and Republicans in general, and that's her job, to stop whatever Donald Trump is doing, regardless of the law or the Constitution. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to change.
I mean, it's a lifetime appointment, so there's no, like, annual job review, correct? She would have
to...
No. Okay, well... It'll be fun to talk about. We'll have maybe a few 8-1 rulings here. Let me talk to you about this news that came out today. Fox News reports a federal judge in New Hampshire blocked President Donald Trump's executive order banning birthright citizenship and granted nationwide class certification status to all infants impacted by the order on Thursday. Hans, break that down for even me to understand.
Well, this judge is exploiting the loophole that was left open by the U.S. Supreme Court. In the birthright citizenship case that was before the Supreme Court, right before they left for the summer, they issued a great ruling saying that you can't issue nationwide injunctions. That's not within the authority of the court. The only exceptions to that are if you certify a class properly under the applicable federal rules, called Rule 23. That rule has very strict standards that apply before you can certify an entire class of people or individuals as being affected by a lawsuit. And in the opinion that Justice Alito wrote, he agreed that you can't have nationwide injunctions, but he wrote a concurrence in which he said, the majority is leaving unanswered and is leaving a loophole by not dealing with the class action situation. And we now have the first judge basically taking advantage of that by certifying this class and not meeting the strict standard. So you're going to have to, the Supreme Court's going to have to come in once again at some point and rule on that issue also. Because otherwise, all these rogue judges, every single one of them now is just going to ignore the tenor of what the Supreme Court was doing and say, oh, yeah, I can't issue a nationwide injunction unless I certify a class. Boom, you're certified. I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're just going to ignore the requirements for it. And that's what happened in this New Hampshire case.
Is there any recourse for these district judges, these federal district judges? I mean, they're kind of under the same position as the Supreme Court justices. Aren't they appointed, confirmed? They're there?
Yep, they're there. The only way you can get rid of one of these judges is if you impeach them. Senator Lee, Senator Lee has already mentioned that, not with regard to this judge, but to another just bizarre opinion that came out from another Massachusetts judge who told Congress that they have to continue to appropriate money for Planned Parenthood, which is a federal judge basically telling the House of Representatives and Congress, you have to appropriate money. That is a nutty decision, and that is probably the most radical decision we've seen so far. Totally lawless.
Is there a way for Congress, without having to do like the supermajority in both houses and the legislatures across the country, is there an amendment? Is there a way for Congress to reorder how some of these things? I feel like I've heard some congressmen saying something like maybe there's a panel of district judges in order to put something together. Is there a way to kind of sidestep, okay, this district judge is going to be there and they're going to be there till they decide not to be, but we can spread out the power a little bit in these situations where maybe 2 out of 3 judges have to agree?
Well, yeah, in fact, the House of Representatives already passed a bill about a month and a half ago that's now stuck in the Senate that would have done exactly that. It would say that if you are suing the executive branch, the president, over, for example, an executive order, that case has to be assigned to a 3-judge panel so that you won't just have one lone federal judge. You're going to have to convince at least 2 of those 3 federal judges that you've got a valid case. And to short circuit and speed this up so that these courts can't delay what the president's doing, that same bill would then said you have a direct appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's one remedy Congress, at least the House of Representatives, already proposed.
A real quick transition here to the last subject I want to talk to you about. I'm going a little bit long, but it's important that we discuss this with you. I want to ask your thoughts on the criminal investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey. Hans, you and I have been talking for a decade on this particular issue of the Russia collusion, and you've been spot on. You've been ahead of the game. Is this investigation going to gain steam? Is this going to get us anywhere?
Well, yeah, because the allegations are, and what's been turned over. Remember, the CIA has been doing its own investigation of Brennan and what Comey did, and there are indications that the 2 of them lied under oath when they were asked questions about all of this before Congress. And if, in fact, they did lie, I think there's a pretty good chance that this Justice Department will criminally prosecute them for lying to Congress, which is a felony. Now, can they get a conviction in the District of Columbia from a District of Columbia jury? Yeah, that might be problematic no matter how overwhelming the evidence is. But If they lied, and that's what the evidence seems to show, I have no doubt this Justice Department will probably prosecute him.
The public discovery, too, is also important as well, I would assume.
Yeah, it is.
Hans, a pleasure to have you. So much to discuss. We're glad we could get to it all with you. Come back next week.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye. It's our pleasure. Hans von Spakovsky is our very good friend and legal expert from the Heritage Foundation. YouTube live chat poll. Should ICE agents wear masks? Yes or no? Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. A quick reminder. Are we giving away tickets again today?
We are.
We are? Collective Soul tickets sometime in the show. Ryan controls everything. It's whenever he decides. And he hasn't told me yet when he's going to do it. I don't even know. But if you keep listening and you hear that Collective Soul song sometime in the show, if you want free tickets, July 17th, we're going to have them for you. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Are you ready for it?
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
CiviaLaw.com. Be confident and comfortable when you go sit in the law offices at Civia Law. Now, those law offices are in Missouri, and they're in Illinois. I'll break it down for you. In Missouri, they have an office in Wentzville, also in Creve Coeur. In Illinois, you can go to the Edwardsville Civia Law office. That's where I sat down with Todd Civia, with my husband, and we put together our trust. East Alton, Swansea, Centralia, and Mount Vernon, they've got a wide range. They've got an incredibly strong firm, and they will look at you and make you feel comfortable with the plans that you make for what comes next. You can protect yourself. You can protect your dependents. Okay, I implore you, parents of minors, please be one of the first 10 people to call right now so that you can get a plan in place in the unfortunate event of the loss of your life, your significant other's life, that your kids are going to be taken care of, that doesn't go through the whole probate system. Please, it's a free sit-down session for the first 10 people to call right now. So parents of minors, do this. Do this, please. 833-995-WILL. 833-995-WILL. Online at civialaw.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
We are giving away tickets to Collective Soul today, and we are going to do that in almost exactly an hour. It'll be right around 1:30, 1:35 in that zone. So
I always love the specificity of almost exactly.
Almost exactly an hour from now, but not exactly. Almost.
Ish, definitively.
So when you hear a Collective Soul song, be the 17th caller, and you will win some free tickets to that show on the 17th of July. It is 12:38. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Something's got a hold on me lately, though I don't know myself.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at
Feels
Annie
like
Fry
the walls are
Show.
all closing in, and the devil's knocking at my door. Whoa, out of my mind. How many times did I tell you I'm no good at being alone? Yeah, it's taking a toll on me. Trying my best to keep from tearing the skin off my bones. Don't you know?
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. That song performed by Ryan Wiggins there.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Gosh, you were just always ready. For the record, if you haven't subscribed to the Annie Fry YouTube channel, you might not get our shorts. Brad puts together clips of the show, and a lot of times it highlights guests, interviews we have. Like maybe we just got done speaking with Hans von Spakovsky, and we'll clip something that defines a point. It's short by name.
You're gonna love our shorts.
And every once in a while we throw one out there that is just, I guess, us doing the other things we do on the radio. And yesterday, Ryan was having, if an addict is in withdrawal, then certain behaviors manifest. And Ryan cannot go 3 steps without telling you one of 2 things. When he was in Colonial Williamsburg.
That's more recent.
And I have been not eating added sugars intentionally for now 14 days.
Today is day 14. Yeah. Or 15. Yeah, it's right around there. It's almost exactly 14.
That tracks. You said 13 yesterday. So if you corrected me and said 15, I was going to call bologna sausage all over you.
I think it's 14 because it started 2 Fridays ago.
Yesterday, we were talking in our X's and Y's segment where we ask questions of the opposite sex and try to bring some clarity to things. Like yesterday, we discussed the importance of pockets and dresses for women. And Ethan brought to the conversation something about waffles. And then he started talking about syrup. And Ryan went into this like comatose state. He drooled on himself as the discussion was happening. And then he made a profane statement. And Brad was like, we should show more people that. I'll put it on YouTube.
Yeah, he did that. He got a huge kick out of that. I thought it was perverse.
If you don't want to go like dig it out of the YouTube channel, if you just launch today's live broadcast right now, it's set as the trailer so you can see it. But you got to watch the video to understand. I'll just say this. The word motorboat came up in the middle of this conversation. And last night, I'm sitting at Principia High School, which I think is in Nevada.
This is
from
taking a
Illinois.
turn. I don't know where this story goes now.
I know. And it's very far away from my home. Very far away.
Okay. You got me.
Watching baseball. My son had a doubleheader last night. Second game starts at 8:30 p.m.
It's late.
Oh, boy.
Late enough that the game got called at the end. We didn't finish it because the lights went off.
The lights went off?
Off.
Yeah.
It
Like
was
timer?
11 p.m.
Okay.
They went off at 10:15 p.m. and they had to call somebody like, can you turn the lights back on? And they were like, sure. But they go off for good at 11.
Okay.
So that's how the game got called. We had runners on in the bottom of the last inning, and we just ended the game because there was, when I say no light, it's a good thing the moon is full or almost full because that was the light that we had. Beautiful campus, beautiful area. So I'm sitting there. I think it was in the second game, and I'm just scrolling, reading X or whatever, and I come across this video that we put up of Ryan having a withdrawal reaction to Ethan talking about syrup, and it ends with something that has to do with motorboating. And I have this on super quiet because when you're watching 15U or 16, I think it's 16U baseball, parents, like if you go watch an 8U baseball game, those parents are crazy. Dads are yelling, moms are cheering. Then you get a little bit older, and then moms are yelling, and dads are like, honey, just quiet. You need to be quiet. You've said enough. Leave the umpire alone. And then you get to 15, 16U, and it's just like, why did my kid not make that play? Or, hey, good job, buddy. It's simple. It just, everything kind of starts to calm down. It's a little less intense in the stands. Super quiet. I'm talking like golf level quiet. And I've got this thing on super quiet, and I've got it real close to my face. And I watch this video, and it gets to the end where Ryan's like, I'd motorboat that right now. And I laughed so loud. There was like complete silence. And I'm sitting directly behind home plate on top of a picnic table because of the way this field is set up, cackling, embarrassing myself, and it is your fault.
I think it's disgusting that, first of all, you'd make a video out of such a thing.
That's Brad,
It
not me.
happened really at my valley. And
Ryan, that's this whole show.
Second, that you would laugh at that moment.
So loud.
After the fact.
So loud.
I wasn't even trying to be funny.
I had the opportunity to tell 42 people who were sitting in the stands there last night about our show, and I was like, hiding. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going to happen.
What was the reaction? Did people turn and look at you?
I don't know. I hid my head in shame. But I was exposed. It was so embarrassing. Anyway.
It really would have been worse if they would have turned and been, oh, she's watching a video. Annie, what are you watching? I'm watching my own show.
Well, these people don't know who I am. It doesn't matter if they did or if they didn't. Although I did do a game. There was a rain delay, and this umpire, they were off to, he might be listening right now. They were off to this, they went to their car because there was like a lightning delay and everything. And I was sitting in the van with my husband and one of my really good friends whose son also plays on this team. And I rolled the window down because I wanted to ask him, like, what's the situation here? Because they were walking towards the field. And I rolled my window down. He goes, Are you who I think you are? And I go, I don't know who you think I am.
You had a mask on?
Yeah, I was wearing my mask. The YouTube live chat poll for today. And then he talked, I guess he heard my voice say something to Charlie or something like that. And then he goes, I thought I heard your voice. I recognized that voice. And then I quick looked at the roster that they handed me, and I'm like, that's her. So I always have to try to be on my best behavior. Somebody out there is going to get me at my low moment.
I am always super impressed when somebody just hears me in public and turns around and goes,
listen.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Because that is hard.
Do you say weird things like I'd motorboat that right now?
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, that's got to be Wiggins.
Real fast. I start asking for tips. Sir, oh, yeah, it is me. You got any money?
Sir, this is an Arby's. Is it Arby's?
You've heard how I am on the radio. It's real. And I could really use whatever you got.
He's eat there,
Just
over
like
there
begging.
licking a sugar cube. I don't know if anybody listening right now was one of the 40 people at that game last night. But if you were, I apologize for disturbing the peace. But I blame these guys. It's really on them. If you want to see the video I'm talking about, Annie Fry YouTube channel, launched today's live broadcast. You can come say hi to us in the comments. You don't have to. But that video, the motorboat video, will play before this one launches. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Yeah, I know I could do it on my own, but I want that real full moon black magic, and it takes two.
Home Shield Foundation Repairs.com. I appreciate very much families that know how to do something and do it really well, and they say, okay, I can make a business out of this. Now, the kind of work that Home Shield Foundation Repair has been doing, they've been doing this for a very long time. You will be able to have confidence in the skills that they're going to bring to the job that you need to have done. Uneven concrete, uneven foundation is a trip hazard. It could be an injury hazard, of course. Industrial, commercial places of business, you're going to need to get that fixed because you don't want the claim that happens if someone trips over it. And you've thought about fixing it, but you're kind of like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. Someone comes in and rips out all that concrete and replaces it. That's going to cost a pretty penny. How about the cost-effective way of handling the situation that you know needs to be taken care of and doing it in a more cost-effective way? That's Home Shield Foundation Repair, 314-227-9636, 314-227-9636. Polyjacking with a polyurethane foam injected under the concrete to raise it up is the way to solve this problem, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Invite them out to look at your situation. They'll assess it and tell you this is what we can do. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. A phone call is free. 314-227-9636. Tell them Annie sent you. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
The IRS comes out and says that churches can endorse political candidates.
This is a big win.
This is so exciting to me.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9. Right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Just give me the light. Just give me the light. Just give me the light. Just give me the light and pass the joe. What's another buckle of more? Yeah, let me know my sights and I got to know.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Catch my flow, cause I'm in the vibes and I got my dough. What's another buckle of more? Yeah, them looking eyes.
Is this Brian Adams?
He's doing work.
Wiggins.
Yes.
I thought it was Kenny Chesney.
I thought it was Kenny G.
Sean Paul is college for me.
Oh, yeah?
It's all the same.
There's a lot of artists like that.
Yeah, I love it.
I think the same thing about Alicia Keys. I'm like, I like Alicia Keys, but
Yeah.
every song I hear, I'm like, it
She
sounds
always
the
seems
same.
really emotionally
Yeah.
passionate about. You should do an Alicia Keys parody of "Longing for Sugar."
Here's the thing. That would take a lot of energy, and you know what I need to get energy?
Yes, protein
That's correct.
and fiber. Since you had your anyway.
All right, this is Wiggins America. These are, no, I just got what you said. Stop that.
The joke's funny twice with Ryan Wiggins.
By
When
the
you
way,
get
when
it and when he gets it.
When she said earlier that I was drooling on myself, also not true.
I don't think that you can prove
video's
that.
out there, bud.
Yeah.
You love theater of the mind. Let's go into radio so we can just say anything we want.
All right,
Time
all right, Adam Sandler, get to the point here.
Wiggins America is couples who truly trust each other use these 7
Skibbity-doo.
phrases.
Oh, we get paid for this for now.
We always are looking to tomorrow.
Jared, find me another job. Get
All
on
right.
it.
Speaking of Jared,
What about him?
you guys maybe use some of these phrases because you are a couple who truly trust each other.
Now you're Bane. What are you doing? Get this man some added sugar now.
I do seem to.
Pretty soon Christopher Walken's
his
going to creep
mind.
out here. No joke.
I can keep it together until I start going, and then I can't.
Yeah, but
I don't know if that's sugar or what.
Usually you're the last one to crack. If you're the first one to crack, we can't
We're
do
in trouble.
this.
It's true.
What is the topic
The
again?
first
Nobody was
phrase,
listening.
couples who truly trust each other use these 7 phrases.
I wonder if we use any of these phrases with each other.
Ooh, that's a good question. Me and Brad. Okay, first of all,
Everybody knows.
it's you see me as I am.
Yeah, I say that to Jared all the time. I say it like this, you really see me as I am.
Ooh, well, you could do anything in that tone.
I bet I use all of these phrases sarcastically.
Can you imagine using this phrase?
No.
But something like it maybe, but you see me as I am. Or thank you for loving me as I am. I appreciate that I can be myself with you. Getting a little closer to real.
I think these are things you say before you get married. And I think certainly if a man's saying it, it's an investment.
This is something that Katy Perry said to me on Twitter once, but not directly to me, to all of her followers.
You think, she's on the market now.
Is she?
Yeah. Orlando Bloom.
I'm not, so it doesn't really matter.
You're the one who brought it up, buddy.
Well, she said it. I was just
Yeah.
a recipient.
Yeah, this is obviously on
One of
Katy Perry.
millions.
Right. Right. Like, I didn't.
She put it out there.
I
It was
did.
directly in my feed. What am I supposed to
You
think?
guys are pointing the finger at me. You know how many fingers are pointing back at you? 3.
4.
The thumb kind of doesn't. It's 3. Number 2.
He's deficient, guys.
What time is it?
Nutritionally deficient.
All right, I got 3 minutes.
His system is not set up to work like this. Which unfortunately downstream means mine's not either.
All right. Couples who truly trust each other would also say, I trust you.
Oh, I say that to Jared.
This is from CNBC, by the way. This isn't some ramshackle website.
Ramshackle.
So
That sounds like the name of the website, the Ramshackle.
Ringing endorsement for
CNBC.
CNBC.
Oh, God.
He's
gone.
toast.
He's so gone. It's only 12:50. Oh, geez.
Go out and have fun with your friends.
I am his friend. No. Yeah, he could do that.
Does your wife say this, Ethan? Do you say this to your wife?
That's a no.
Yeah. Ish.
I don't believe you.
Not very. I feel like
just
we don't
do
even
it.
have time. Yeah, you just kind of
you
like.
don't have time.
We're just. Yeah, we're both very busy people.
My wife actually says this to me because I don't do enough with my friends. So anytime there's an opportunity, she's like, you should go hang out with your friends.
You do more with your friends than most couples that I know.
Is it different once you get past
take
having
trips
kids?
with them.
I do a once a year guys trip.
That's
and
a
you guys
lot.
know about
That's
that
cool.
for
That is
sure
a lot.
because
That
I'm
is
not
cool.
here when I'm doing it.
I credit you for being able to do that. But I think you do this way more than most couples.
Here's the thing though. Those guys, I don't see
You don't
them
really
the
like
rest
them.
of the year.
They're not your friends.
They're not really my friends. They're business associates. We have shared interests. We just talk about money. We laugh over bourbon.
I feel like it's probably. I feel like it's probably more necessary to be able to say those things once you have kids, though, right? Because your time, your availability just goes out the door, and now there's further responsibility.
I don't know. Our maids and servants
Fair.
take care of the kids.
Fair.
Number 5 is I miss you. That's a nice thing to say when your spouse is gone. Do you ever say this to your spouse?
My spouse isn't that. We're not apart from each other very much.
Sounds like
other than
pre-marriage thing.
Feeling very much like we're apart all the time because we're always going back and forth with other kid responsibilities. But I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't sound offensive. Like,
just say it.
We're not apart enough for me to miss him.
That's offensive.
It's pretty offensive.
Sorry, Jared. I'm pretty sure he'd say the same thing about me.
This one is scary, and I hate that it's on the list, but it's probably true. Can we talk?
Ooh.
I hate hearing can we talk.
You basically are hearing you're in the doghouse.
No, it's just
something happened.
We got to talk
Something's
about
up.
something.
Yep.
We got to address something. And I'm like, if I don't know what it is, then I'm really
Stressing.
scared.
Because if they switch "can we" with "we need to," it gets way worse.
Hey, we need to go to break. Ryan, can we talk?
On the break.
We will. Everybody say bye to Ryan.
Bye.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Congresswoman Mary Miller next.
If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. You know, there's a lot of high-interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
RulerFoods.com. Kroger 80% lean ground beef for your grill, just $4.49 a pound right now. Sold in a 3-pound roll when you go shop at your local Ruler Foods. I appreciate the shopping experience at Ruler Foods. They prioritize everything to make it streamlined so you can go through the store and you can find what you need. Those name brands that you've been shopping at other places for quite some time, they are probably at Ruler Foods. The Kroger brands that you may not have experienced yet, they're wonderful. We buy a ton of them in our house. They come at Ruler Foods prices. You can save on fresh produce, blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries, just 2 for $5 right now. Also, red and white seedless grapes, $1.88 a pound. You can trust the fresh, delicious produce at Ruler Foods, and you can save on it. Why are you not there right now? Get in the car and go to Ruler Foods. You can find the one that's closest to you by going to rulerfoods.com. Throw your zip code in there. And by the way, you can even schedule a delivery to your door through that website, rulerfoods.com.
Since we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see and hear lots of lawyer ads. It seems that most are bragging on what they got their clients. But be careful. If you heard that someone sold their car for $500,000, you would be impressed. But if you later learned that it was a rare $10 million Ferrari, would you say that person got screwed? And that's before you even know if it's true. Who is fact-checking? And how much went to medical bills and lawyers' fees? If you want to get an idea what your case may be really worth, Visit forthepeople.com and go to Settlements and Verdicts. You will see what a law firm like ours is capable of, and fact check for yourself. All that glitters is not gold. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won big, a lot. At Morgan & Morgan, we represent consumers. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
One U.S. lawmaker is fed up. On Lisa Brady, Fox News, and he's preparing to make a move as the U.S. Senate keeps trying to investigate the assassination attempt at a Trump rally a year ago this Sunday.
Senator Ron Johnson says he's preparing a subpoena for the FBI and Department of Justice for information related to the Butler shooting in Pennsylvania. The frustrated Wisconsin Republican says they're continuing to run into issues with getting documents from the agencies.
We don't have the information. We're continue to be stonewalled.
Johnson is one of the senators heading the Homeland Security Committee's investigation into the assassination attempt on President Trump. The senator says he's waiting to see if other committee chairs will sign on before issuing the subpoena.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. Meantime, the Government Accountability Office is expected to release its findings soon, and the Secret Service now confirms 6 agents were suspended without pay over security failures. Los Angeles joins a coalition of groups trying to force changes in federal immigration enforcement.
The Trump administration is being sued over some of its more controversial tactics we've seen here in L.A., particularly when we've seen those federal agents show up to places like Home Depots and car washes and make broad arrests of illegal immigrants. Now, the lawsuit was filed by 5 people who were recently detained by the feds. They've since been joined by the city of L.A., activist groups, and the ACLU, which alleges that these arrests are based off nothing more than skin color and racial profiling.
Fox's Bill Malugin. The Justice Department says ICE agents are following the law. More than 2,000 people keep searching for flood victims in Texas.
People from all over Texas, all over the country, continue to show their support in so many ways, and we are thankful.
Kerrville Police spokesman Jonathan Lamb, at least 120 are known dead, more than 170 still listed as missing. America is listening to Fox News.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Just kind of a typical run-of-the-mill summer afternoon. Partly sunny skies, maybe a spot storm. 92, so quite a bit warmer than yesterday. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 74. Friday, partly sunny, a spot storm. But Friday is the hottest day of the week, 95. Expect scattered thunderstorms on Saturday, some with heavy rain and lightning, 89. Quiet Sunday, and 88. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show Live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It exempts your first $25,000 of tip income. Not every single dollar of tips you might earn, but the first $25,000 up to, for an individual, $150,000 in income or $300,000 for a couple. I got to tell you, I love this policy. I love it for tip workers. And the reason is because it rewards good, hard work. We're in a debate right now, Sandra. Think about this. You've got one side of the political aisle complaining because for Medicaid, we want to have some work requirements.
Right.
You've got the president saying, I'm not advocating for the non-workers here. I'm advocating for the workers who want to earn a paycheck and do good work, and I want to let them keep a little bit more.
That sounds exactly right. That's Fox Business Network's Brian Brenberg talking about part of the big, beautiful bill, the no tax on tips, a campaign promise from President Trump that Congress was able to make into law as one part of a very big, beautiful bill. Let's talk to Congresswoman Mary Miller, who is the representative from Illinois' 15th District on X at Rep. Mary Miller. Congresswoman, welcome back. It's good to have you here.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yes, we're celebrating last week's victory, and I was very proud to be in attendance and when President Trump signed that big, beautiful bill in front of the White House. And again, just like his first term, he is delivering on many of the promises that he made during the campaign, and an overwhelming amount of Americans voted for this.
Yes, Congresswoman, one of the criticisms that I hear from the left, there's usually not a whole lot of substance behind it, but I think we have substance to show that the opposite is true. A lot of people say he's just there for his billionaire friends, that he's just trying to help the cronies, the super, super rich. What's in this bill that you champion? I know you care deeply about families, about children. What is in the big, beautiful bill that you would like to highlight for us that shows that President Trump and Congress, the Republicans in Congress, because they're the only ones who voted for it, really do care about American families?
Yes, and before I go through the list of great things that are in the bill, I want to remind everybody that every Democrat voted no. They voted no for the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, tax cut for seniors and working class Americans, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for the farmers. It's going to incentivize historic investments and give the farms a better farm safety net. Also, it defunds Planned Parenthood. That was one of my top priorities. The Trump administration is committed to ending using taxpayer dollars to pay for elective abortions. It is another big thing is restoring energy dominance. President Trump hates the green scam. I think that's what he calls it. I call it the green bad deal, because it is the wind and solar it's Chinese taxpayer funded Chinese, unreliable, unaffordable energy, and I can guarantee you that China is not covering their farm ground with solar and wind. So we have ratcheted back the spending for the green scam. That is huge. And also taken other measures to restore energy dominance, because two things drive up inflation. It's government spending and it's the cost of energy. It's going to protect SNAP for Americans in need. That was first. That was one of my top priorities. It was a provision I fought for to be included with the House Ag Committee. We want taxpayer benefits for Americans in need, not for illegals. And it's going to save millions and end waste, fraud, and abuse. And they just lie about us cutting benefits to people that need it. I guarantee you there's not going to be a dollar cut from anybody's benefits that are legitimately eligible for Medicaid or Medicare. But we want able-bodied people to get to work, and it is so reasonable. If you are able-bodied and you're not caring for a young child or someone with a disability, we want you to work 20 hours a week or get into some kind of jobs training program or serve your community. We have to get people to work.
Congresswoman Mary Miller with us, Illinois' 15th District Representative in the House of Representatives. Do we know a percentage or can you quantify how many people will be affected by those work requirements of those who take from the program?
I can't, but I could post it. I could get the facts and post it on my my congressional website, either Facebook or X. But I do have to say that according to the Council on Economic Advisors, the typical family of four is going to see up to $13,500 more in their take-home pay thanks to this big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. I think that what it's done for families is going to do for families is exciting. The detractors of this bill, at least leading up to getting it passed in the House, especially after the Senate got their hands on it, a lot of people are saying we need to cut spending. We're spending too much money. We need to cut spending. I understand that there's a rescissions package that is going on, which I believe is being led by the senator here in the state of Missouri, Eric Schmidt. Where was your position on what we're funding, what we're cutting, and where Congress needs to go from this point in time after the big, beautiful bill has been passed? Where do you stand on the fiscal responsibility of Congress?
Well, I'm a member of the House Freedom Caucus. We are the fiscal hawks out there. We wanted a lot more cuts and spending, but the fact is that we don't have the votes in the Senate. And President Trump's going to have to continue forward with executive orders. And, I agree that we have to cut spending, but President Trump's a businessman, and he knows that we got to reward and incentivize production. And I think that's what this bill is going to do.
We're speaking with Congresswoman Mary Miller here on the Annie Fry Show. She's the representative from Illinois' 15th District. What is next now? As I understand it, there's a budget discussion that is underway. I know a lot of people want to see a balanced budget. That might be too tall an order for this year's expectations for Congress. But how do you feel about the resolve of the House of Representatives to take that rescissions package and then move into a budget and get us closer to a balanced budget?
Well, we're resolved to do it because I think if we do that and we get the economy on a roll, that we are going to win in the midterms. And, that's very motivating for everybody. So we don't want the Democrats to get a majority. And obviously, if they do, they will they'll impeach President Trump, and it'll just be a nightmare. But we have a lot of work to do out there in light of rescissions, getting the executive orders codified. I don't even know if that's possible because of the Senate. They're very wishy-washy. And even though we have the majority, we don't really have a majority of conservatives out there that are committed to supporting his agenda in the Senate. I think that we have more unity in the House. But also we want to see people held accountable for the crimes that were committed under Joe Biden. And I don't want people to forget what happened under Joe Biden, how he weaponized the government, opened the borders, and then just yesterday we saw another appalling thing when President Biden's doctor, Dr. O'Connor, was called to testify for the Oversight Committee, and he takes the fifth. And he lied to the American people. We all knew that Joe Biden was cognitively impaired and that he wasn't able to fulfill his duties. But that doctor came out and said, quote, he is in perfect health. And so they allowed him to oversee the most radical administration that I can remember of, opening our borders, going after Americans, and on and on. But Peter Navarro refused to testify before the sham January 6th committee, and they arrested him in an airport. They put him in shackles, and he went straight to prison. So I suggest that we do that with Dr. O'Connor.
Real quick before we let you go, we know you have to run. I wanted to give you the opportunity to comment on J.B. Pritzker's potential run. He said he's going to run for a third term. Are you hopeful for the state of Illinois in 2026?
I'm hopeful if we can get people out to vote. And I just want to tell everybody that we have the numbers in Illinois to turn Illinois red. And we had a lot of registered Republicans that didn't come out to vote. If just gun owners would come out to vote, we could flip Illinois red. I think if we get a national voter ID law, it will improve the confidence of the voters in Illinois, and we'll hopefully get better turnout. But we cannot have a third term with JB, and there's no way he's going to get elected for president. He's such a liar. He showed up to Oversight Committee in D.C., and he continued his lie about he tried to say that he has overseen all these balanced budgets. The only reason he could say that is that he's raised taxes on the Illinois citizens and increased the debt.
Yeah. Well, Congresswoman, I'm right there and ready to do whatever I can do to help make sure we get that vote out. We need good candidates. We need them to show up. We need people to donate. We need people to knock doors. We need a lot. So it's going to have to come from the grassroots, which honestly, when it does, it usually creates the best results.
Absolutely. So people can't be discouraged. Evil never retreats on its own. It only when it's confronted by a more powerful force. And I want to remind everybody that George Washington did not win very many battles, but he ultimately won because he didn't quit. We cannot quit. We're the most free nation that's ever existed with the best opportunities, and we cannot give up. Our children and grandchildren are depending on us.
Oh. I appreciate you. Congresswoman Mary Miller, please come back again soon. Keep working hard in D.C. We'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome. Bye,
Take care.
Annie.
Bye-bye. Congresswoman Mary Miller is the 15th District Representative in the House of Representatives. We're going to take a quick break. The YouTube live chat poll for today: should ICE agents wear masks? Yes or no? Need to know what you think about this, and we'd love to hear from you by voting on the Annie Fry YouTube channel live broadcast that we have going right now. And you can leave your comments if you so choose as well. Jackie said yes, though I wish this measure didn't have to be taken to help keep them and their families safe. Janine said yes after hearing Brad and Annie talk about how the cartel threatened all the Border Patrol. I think this is important to protect the ICE agents. Yes, Janine, I agree with you completely. Joe said no, I don't think good guys conceal their identities or intentions. That being said, I realize this puts the families of ICE agents in jeopardy. I don't have a solution to this dilemma. That's what we're discussing right now, Joe. Thank you all for your comments. Keep them coming. Ryan Wiggins back in studio with us next. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
TheDittemoreGroup.com. I love Tammy Dittemore. They are going to be in here tomorrow. The Dittemore Group's going to be in here tomorrow because they have a great event coming up this weekend, a Christmas in July. Everybody loves it. Guys, Christmas is almost here, and the giving season is all the time. And the Dittemore Group knows that. They're very, very connected with the community, along with RE/MAX Alliance. They're always looking to help. Like we've said before, look for the helpers. The Dittemore Group, they are full of wonderful, kind-hearted helpers. But they also really kick butt at their job. So if you're looking to list a home, or if you haven't found the right home, I know the inventory is low out there right now. They're very hungry to help you with your listing. But if you've been looking and you haven't been able to find exactly what you want, connect yourself with the Dittemore Group. Both sides of the river, they can help you. They might have a home that is about to go on the market that maybe you could jump in on early. Reach out to them at 618-531-4652, 618-531-4652. Call the Dittemore Group at 618-531-4652. Tell them Annie sent you, and be sure to listen tomorrow for X's and O's while we welcome the Dittemore Group into the studio. TheDittemoreGroup.com.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit LakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Speeding while driving gives you less time to react. Another car could turn out in front of you. A pedestrian could be walking their dog. Follow the speed limit to keep them safe. Speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Just spoke with Congresswoman Mary Miller there, getting a lot of messages about a declared opponent of hers on the Democrat side. We're going to get some sound from that and compare notes a little bit later in the show.
Okay.
X's and O's, no. Annie, are you okay? I was talking about X's and O's before. Annie, are you okay at 2:30 with Trisha? She's going to come join us in studio, so stay tuned for that. Here's the YouTube live chat poll for today. Should ICE agents wear masks? Yes or no? Your comments are coming in on the YouTube channel. Joe, a different Joe, says ICE agents should dress as Iron Man if they want. Your thoughts on the issue? Yes or no? Should they be able to wear masks?
I really, going into, if you had asked me this in January, I would have said, no, they shouldn't. And I still don't like that they are. But what else are you going to do? People are targeting them for assassination. I wouldn't want to tell them, no, you have to show your face to everybody.
Like they're actually shooting at them.
Yes. They're
This is not like a, once you get the snowball rolling, it's hard to stop it. No, they're shooting at them.
And I saw yesterday on Fox, a little graphic came up that 700% increase on violence against ICE agents since Trump took office. So I can't blame. What else would you do? You almost have to protect these agents.
We have asked law enforcement to take their lumps now for over 10 years. Our law enforcement, the people who keep our communities safe and secure, have been told for over 10 years now, you guys need to get in the back of the line. We're gonna have a different kind of moment right here. And look where it's gotten us. I'm going to err on the side of caution for law enforcement heavily for, I was going to say, quite some time. Maybe always. Can police officers make mistakes? Yes. Can police officers be jerks? Yes. I have yet to know of a profession where really crappy people are not possible to serve in. You can think of everything, any job, any line of work. Crappy people exist in all of them. And you can't base the entire profession off the crappy people who get into a job and then they say everybody does that. I mean, I'm thinking about like clergy. Think about people who are supposed to serve as ministers of God. I mean, we could spend the rest of the show talking about instances where they have prioritized their own selves, have had incredibly poor judgment, made incredibly poor decisions. Does that mean that for some people it does too? That all religious leaders are bad people? Well, they're all sinners, but that's beside the point. That does not mean that the profession is bad. It means bad people have done that profession. So of course that applies to law enforcement. But the risk is really high when we try to prioritize some sort of woke approach when we know that these people are under fire to begin with. Going back to what we played with Donald Trump at the beginning of the show. These people who protest in front of universities, these people who break into, while they're looting and burning cities to the ground and running around like crazy, they wear masks. They all wear masks. Nobody creates the protest zone as a mask-free zone. That doesn't, probably should be, but why is that okay? Why are they trying to conceal their identities when they're throwing their bigoted hissy fits on Columbia University's campus? Why are they allowed to do that? Now, if you want to say that because this law enforcement agency is in the employ of the federal government and paid for by the tax dollars, until you can tell me that they're not endangering themselves or the lives of their family members, their children, I don't give a dang what you say about it.
Well,
that's just, I mean, that's a conversation that's taking place in reality, not some sort of like fantasy land where, of course, the ICE, like, why wouldn't the ICE agent show their face? Can you tell me? Yeah, because you're going to hurt them and their family.
Yeah, that's kind of what I came to too, because I don't love the idea of them wearing masks. I don't love it. But, and using the example, I'm not sure I even buy into the sort of logic of saying, well, Antifa covers their face, so why can't ICE? Law enforcement should be held to a higher standard.
No. Don't confuse the fact that one is doing it should justify the other. I'm negating the fact that they get to have a say in this conversation.
Absolutely.
You don't even get to come into the conversation and throw your hissy fit over here because you don't abide by your own rules. So shut up.
It's funny because there are so many issues now because things have escalated so much in the last 10 years. There are so many issues where you have to say, look, we have to do this now. Not because that's ideal, but because what else do you do? What's the what is your better solution for this problem? And you could take that and approach a lot of different issues with it.
I think that I should just start wearing N95s.
Yeah, they're just protecting themselves.
Double mask.
Care for your neighbor. Wear a mask.
That way nobody will get anything ever.
We protect. We're here to protect you. Who knows what we could be carrying?
Did you ever wear an N95?
Not on purpose.
I hated masks so bad.
Yeah, they were terrible.
Trying to breathe with CF through a mask.
Oh, boy.
Sometimes just trying to breathe with CF is bad.
I mean, yeah, it was terrible.
I wonder how it will evolve over time for us. I think like my parents, they were retired through COVID. So everything that they experienced COVID-wise was in retirement. My parents are blessed with a home that has like a wonderful living space. So, you got to stay at home. Okay. That's fine. They've got it's a farm, so they live on some land and they just are able to be comfortable there. My in-laws, same. If you had to try to work through COVID and provide for your family, if you were told you didn't get to work through COVID, if you lost your job through COVID, and then you had to stand on ceremony, I mean, the things that we did, and I say that, and I know you're saying, I didn't do that. Well, everybody had to exist in a reality where if you weren't doing it, then you had to bear the burden of being that guy or that girl. The things that we threw ourselves into because we were too scared to not trust the government. I just wonder how over the course of time we are going to think back on that and become very, very anti that ever again. I think we're going to be the old farts on the porch in my day.
Oh, yeah.
You
Our
know?
kids might be those people.
Every generation's going to experience it a little different. We're going to break here real quick. Chad Pergram is going to talk to us. He chased down the doctor. Do you know this? He was in the hallway. He chased down the doctor that was under questioning, Joe Biden's doctor. We're going to talk to him about that experience and that investigation in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You know what I'm thinking. See it in your eyes.
The Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com. Call the Retirement Advisory Group. Put your confidence in Thomas Helbig and Bob and Tammy Kershaw and know that they are going to help you with that transitionary period. Now, you've probably been planning for your retirement for some time, but when you get to that age, maybe specifically 59 and a half or older, you have some options opened up to you that you may not know about. And you need to make those smart transitions when the time is right so that you can engage in that worry-free retirement when it's right for you. You have hopes and dreams. You want to travel. Maybe you want to build. You want to relocate. You want to downsize. Whatever it is, it's your dream. You can find out how to make it a reality with the Retirement Advisory Group. 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. Reach out to the Retirement Advisory Group. Tell them Annie sent you and schedule that appointment today. The appointment costs you nothing. When you're done, if you decide this isn't my bag, you can just move on. If you want to go from there, that's up to you. They trust you. Of course, I trust you to make the best decision for yourself. You just got to connect with them to see what they know. RetirementKey.com.
Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Dr. O'Connor, before we begin, I would like to go over the ground rules for this deposition. The committee will conduct today's deposition in accordance with the House of Representatives regulations for the use of deposition authority, which were furnished to your counsel. This regulation is incorporated into the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform at Rule 15, which was also furnished to your counsel. The questioning will proceed in rounds. The majority will ask questions for an hour, and then the minority will have an opportunity to ask questions for an hour if they choose. There will be one staff counsel per side asking the questions during each round. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. Do you understand?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based on the physician-patient privilege and reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, and I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
So there you have it. Dr. O'Connor, Joe Biden's doctor, pleads the Fifth and says he's not going to answer any questions. So then, after that very quick, questioning got over, Chad Pergram chased down the doctor trying to get answers. I wonder if he got any. The senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, Chad Pergram, joins us here on the Annie Fry Show now. Chad, welcome back. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
I love to watch your effort there to try to get.
I appreciate that.
If you'd have gotten answers out of the doctor that Congress wouldn't have, I would have just gone. I would have been over the moon. Tell me about that experience.
Well, he was not going to answer questions in the room with the deposition going on. He was not going to answer questions going in or going out. I mean, the doctor was in, but he was out pretty quickly, too. He was only in there about 20 minutes or so. And what happens sometimes, we've had this happen with other witnesses before. James Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, indicated that even when he asked if he understood the proceedings, he gave the Fifth Amendment answer there. And what happens, and Jasmine Crockett, who was the only Democrat in the room, the Democrat from Texas, she picked up on this point, the idea that you do this as a blanket answer to everything. This isn't a trick. It's just the way that those things go. And good lawyers will counsel their clients to do it that way, because that way there's no, wiggle room. Well, you answered this question, but you didn't answer this question, that type of stuff. So it wasn't a surprise in that sense. He did put out a statement, his attorneys did, that the reason that he was not willing to answer these questions is simply because of the doctor-patient confidentiality agreement, that he was not going to give up that information. And so that's why he shielded himself with the Fifth Amendment. So is there a follow-up here? I mean, if he invokes the Fifth Amendment, what would be the next process if they wanted to get some information out of him that he hadn't divulged? He was there under a subpoena. Conceivably, you could potentially try to hold him in contempt of Congress. That would take a vote by the entire, House of Representatives, and that's a pretty narrow margin in the House, as we always say. So I'm not so sure that they could necessarily get there. The other thing that Republicans are doing, they're hearing from other witnesses. Neera Tanden, who was a White House aide, she's had a similar closed-door interview about a week and a half ago, and she was rather forthcoming in both the interview and spoke afterwards. Now, again, she's not a physician. And, we put this same question to Roger Marshall, the Republican senator from Kansas, who is also a doctor. He's an OBGYN. And he said, this is kind of a tough question. He said, on one hand, as a doctor, that's very important to protect that information of my patients. But by the same token, you turn the coin over, and what if it's an issue of national security? Here's the other thing for Republicans is that, some Republicans have been critical of this, the idea that they're going back to beat this Joe Biden horse. They have been looking for a foil, and that provided a pretty good foil, for them for a couple of years. They obviously won the election, regardless whether, Biden or Kamala Harris was the nominee. Okay, fine. But some are wondering, even though you preface it with the idea that we don't want this to happen again, if we have a president who's out of it, what can we do to prevent that? And that's happened before. It happened with FDR. It happened with certainly with Woodrow Wilson, who had had a stroke, and Edith Wilson, his wife, was kind of running the country. There was no auto pen there, but she was pretty much in charge, and that's widely been agreed to. So even though this has come up many times before, it has not necessarily gotten any better when you have a president who is potentially out of it. And again, we don't really know the state of affairs with President Biden. We can only make assumptions and suppositions.
We're speaking with the senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, Chad Pergram, talking to us right now. I'm curious about the presidential doctor. If they're taxpayer funded, do they have a responsibility to the taxpayer that divides their loyalty here at all? Or is it just like a doctor-patient privilege like I would have with my doctor?
You see, you raise a very good point there, because this is the executive branch. And, the White House, the Trump White House waived executive privilege. There was some thought that, because you're having one branch of government, the legislative branch of government, asking for answers regardless of the subject or the personnel from the executive branch, does that interfere? And so the Trump White House said, well, in this case, we waive any executive privilege that they think they might have. Now, that's a little bit different than the doctor-client privilege. I don't recall an instance where this came up. We've certainly had people, invoke the Fifth Amendment. Mm-hmm. And as Jasmine Crockett said, the Fifth Amendment is there. This is the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. You're allowed to do this. James Comer, the chairman of the committee, said, well, this implies that you have something to hide. Read into that what you may. But the problem for the Democrats is that, they're back on this, beating on Biden. That probably reminds people of a lot of things with Biden. At some point, if you are looking at potential 2028 candidates for president, what did Kamala Harris know if she runs? What did Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, know if he runs? He was always saying, he was fine and confident and seemed like he had control of his faculties. But maybe the Republicans have found another foil here.
It's interesting.
It is the mayoral nominee, the Democratic mayoral nominee of New York, Zohran Mamdani, and that might be a better foil for them, frankly, in this case.
Very possibly. I'm thinking about President Trump releasing, medical reports. He has an exam, and I think the phrase "stable genius" came out of one of those, maybe in his first terms. Is that all? When we get that information about his a president's physical exams, does the president always have to sign off on that before it becomes public knowledge?
Well, it's his information. Yeah, that's part of it. Okay. And, we're used to having gotten, prior to Trump, we would get these very clinical analyses of a president's health, weight and that they had this knee injury or their blood pressure, very, very specific clinical types of things. And I think a lot of that was in the interest of transparency. You might remember before President Trump was in office, there was some controversy about a doctor who he wasn't even like a GP, the kind of guy you would go to for a physical in New York, who kind of gave a glowing review of him. And some Democrats, and certainly those in the press corps, called that physician out, saying, if you're a medical professional, why would you say these? Because there was nothing clinical about it. It was just this glowing, it was like a press release type of thing. And so, again, maybe that's the way President Trump rolls. I don't know that necessarily serves the public well, because you don't get those specifics. And again, here's the other issue, though, and James Comer kept coming back to this. Who was in control of the auto pen? The auto pen is used to sign documents. And if you look at when, and all presidents have used the auto pen, if you look at when President Biden was using the auto pen, it really started to go up later in his term. And so this was the question to Neera Tanden, whether or not, there was ever an instance where it was used without the president's authorization, whether he knew what was being signed, executive orders, pardons, bills into law, whatever. that is a little bit of a slippery slope, and that's why we're going to have other witnesses in soon. On Friday, tomorrow, Ashley Williams, who is the Deputy Director of Oval Office Operations for the Biden White House, is going to be there. She might be able to shed some light on that. And also Republicans think that Jill Biden was the key to the whole thing, and her de facto chief of staff, Anthony Bernal, comes in for an interview next Wednesday. And then Ron Klain, President Biden's chief of staff, will come in on July 24th. And so Comer believes there's all sorts of ground to trod in this as they go deeper down the rabbit hole, trying to figure out, what the president knew, and did he know, and what did others know about the condition of his health.
All right. Well, that's a lot of information that I appreciate having, and knowing kind of a timeline here that there are going to be more of these opportunities for testimony in the coming weeks. I know that it seems as though investigations have kind of become the subject du jour now, that the big, beautiful bill, how many times I've said that in the last 2-3 weeks, it's probably pales in comparison to I watched you into 2 a.m. on Fox News while we were trying to get. I was cheering you on, Chad Pergram, with us right now. What is the focus right now that's been done? Is there a prioritization, or do we got to walk and chew lots of pieces of gum at the same time?
Well, you're going to have this investigation, number one. It was number two, to something that's come out in the past couple of hours, is Ron Johnson, who is the Republican senator from Wisconsin, has announced that he has issued subpoenas for FBI and DOJ information about the assassination attempt of President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, and also from the Pennsylvania State Police. He chairs a select committee on permanent investigations in the Senate and believes he's been stonewalled, was the term that was used. And, we said, why is this coming out now? We're at that one-year anniversary of the assassination attempt. And he said, well, frankly, because we've been so focused on the big, beautiful bill. And he's right. There's only so many hours in the day. And literally when they were working around the clock for days on end on this, whether you be a senator, an aide, a reporter, there was not a lot of bandwidth to focus on other things. Now, it's just not investigations. Here's going to be a tricky one. Next week, the Senate has to deal with what's called a rescissions bill. This is a spending cancellations bill where you rescind money from the Congress has already appropriated. And you can do this without 60 votes in the Senate. You don't have to overcome a filibuster there. They've not done this in about 32 years where you do this. The administration has to make a request. President Clinton did this back in 1993, and you claw back that money. Well, the House passed that bill. This is pretty low-hanging fruit, $9.4 billion for public broadcasting and for USAID. And the House passed it by one vote, 216-214. So the Senate, this is going to be very hard. You had Mark Wayne Mullen, the Republican senator from Oklahoma, thinking, well, this might be the type of vote that you have 50-50 vote. You lose a couple of senators and you need J.D. Vance to break the tie. There are a lot of Republicans who want to change the bill. Does this sound familiar? And because you have a deadline, this has to be done by the end of next week. The Senate might just send back and say, here's what we were able to pass, and House, you have to line up and just accept whatever we've sent over. John Kennedy, the Republican senator from Louisiana, had indicated that he said, if this does not pass, he said, I never want to hear another thing from some of my Republican colleagues that we need to cut spending. Because if they can't cut this, this was supposed to be the easy stuff. And if they can't get lined up back in the House. And these are the cuts that they're trying to codify by DOJ. Remember that most of those cuts just don't happen because Elon Musk came in with a magic wand. Congress has to pull back that money.
Right.
You have to do that, through an act of Congress. And if they can't do that, it's all, hat and no cattle. They talk a lot up here, but if they can't even do $9.4 billion, that's a trickle of federal spending.
Yeah, quite something. Chad Pergram with us. I want to give you one last opportunity here before we let you go. We appreciate your time. As somebody who's covered Congress and watched, slim majorities, bigger majorities, certainly than what we have right now in each chamber, how do you assess the 119th Congress's ability to get the job done compared to others that you've covered?
Well, if you look at what's actually been done here, it's not a lot. Frankly, there's only about 5 to 6 bills that have been signed into law by President Trump. Most of what he has done by executive order. And this has been an increasing, precedent for the past 30 to 40 years, probably longer, where the Congress has ceded ground to the executive branch. You have a Congress, a Republican Congress, despite those narrow majorities. I think if you didn't have everybody in lockstep on the Republican side of the aisle for the most part with President Trump, that was not the case when he was in office in 2017, it would be a lot harder. The fact that this is more of a Trump Congress, even though they had a bigger majority when he was in office in 2017 on the Republican side of the aisle, that did not necessarily make it easier for him. There was lots of skepticism. This group is more aligned with him, people who are new, people who were converted, what have you. But if you look at the raw numbers as to how much this Congress has accomplished, it's kind of a paucity of legislative achievements. The big, beautiful bill, where they threw all this stuff in, including the kitchen sink. And, I remember being around here that you had Republicans complaining all the time, we want to do single subject bills.
Yeah.
So how suddenly is this okay? You say, well, because the president said so, and they're aligned with President Trump. Okay, fine. But that's part of it. And because they knew that they could only get certain things done because of those narrow majorities, they said, let's try to get as much as we possibly can into that bill. So aside from these rescissions bills and trying to keep the government open in September and maybe these investigations, whether it be into Butler or into former President Biden, I would say I would augur a bet that most of the legislative work, the biggest stuff, has been done already in this Congress, and we are only 6 months into a 24-month Congress.
Well, that is a wonderful, experienced assessment there with great perspective, Chad Pergram. We're grateful for your time. We look forward to having you back as soon as possible. Thanks for doing what you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And please don't watch at 2 a.m. anymore.
I was with you the whole time, Chad.
I appreciate that.
Waiting to see it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye. Don't watch at 2 a.m. I was making T-shirts for a local youth group, and Chad Pergram was keeping me going. So it was great.
I was too. I don't know that I made it to 2, but I was up
Did you
late.
watch it?
No, because I don't think I made it all the way, but I was up way past midnight doing the same thing.
Just waiting to see it happen.
Yeah, because you thought you were right. It was so close.
Yeah.
Like, I can wait another few minutes.
And you knew that like the transfer of people that were, because there were so many, there was like 8 for the majority of that late evening time, 8 people who hadn't voted yet.
Right.
So you knew that there was this group of people and you were just waiting to be like, what are you going to do?
Because they were
Thomas
trying to
Massey
pull
was changing
things
his vote
out,
back
yeah.
and forth and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let's get it done. When we come back, I think this is an interesting portion of what this big, beautiful bill did. Of course, we've talked about how it going through the reconciliation process is what makes it go into the Senate and only need a simple majority or even a 50-50 split in the Senate with a tiebreaker vote of the president of the Senate, which is also the vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance. I'm going to tell you there are 28 executive orders of President Trump that were codified in the one big, beautiful bill. That's why it was so huge, because they did it this way so it could get a simple majority in the Senate. Let's talk about some of those executive orders that the big, beautiful bill codified when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. I want you to think about that space on your property that has the sinking concrete, and it started as a crack, and then as the crack started to maybe separate a little bit, maybe you had some water moving underneath that concrete, washed away some of the support underneath it. Now it's separated, and it's just getting worse and worse. It's not going to get better. It's certainly not going to get better on its own. Unless you call somebody who can repair it, you are going to have a bigger problem on your hand in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. If you call Home Shield Foundation Repairs, you're going to work in a cost-effective way, much more cost-effective than having to dig out and replace that concrete. You're going to work with a family-owned and operated business, experts at concrete lifting, concrete leveling, so that you don't have this problem in your yard, in your patio, in your pool deck, in your garage even anymore. Fix it with Home Shield Foundation Repairs. You'll be glad you called them because they are experts and they're great people. I think that really matters as well. 314-227-9636. 314-227-9636. Call Home Shield Foundation Repair and tell them Annie sent you. You'll be glad you did. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
I don't see the phones lighting up. Is that because this is a deep cut from Collective Soul?
No, it's because they were blocked.
Oh.
But I just unblocked.
Now is the time to call. You're hearing Collective Soul. They're coming to town on July 17th. 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. If you are the 17th caller right now, you will win a pair of tickets to see Collective Soul.
Look at them.
At Hollywood Casino Amphitheater on July 17th. And hey, just keep calling. You know, if you're like caller number 2, just try again. Going to number 17 because of July 17th.
They're going crazy. They're all blue.
All right. It is 1:52. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
AC Tune-Up.
On-time news. On your time. Your time. Download the Odyssey app and dip in whenever you want. And stay on top of what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app. This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I feel like on this show, we shouldn't be playing Stevie Nicks. We should be playing Beyonce Bootylicious.
See, if Bootylicious came on, is it that close to this song? Does it sound that close?
Pull it up. Pull it up. We'll get to it here in a second. It's a great song. Great riff. But no, yeah, we'll get Bootylicious on here. I wanted to bring up to you, you can kill the music here. Executive orders codified in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Speaker Mike Johnson tweeted this out yesterday, the 8th, 2 days ago. Securing their borders. That's the first one. Number 2, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. That national emergency opens up things to happen afterwards that allows them to secure that border. But that national emergency declaration is something that was codified in this. Protecting the American people against invasion. That's a third one. Number 4, ending taxpayer subsidization of open borders. Number 5, restricting the entry of foreign nationals to protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. Number 6, implementing the president's DOGE cost efficiency initiative. So a lot of people freaking out about not enough of the DOGE cuts being implemented. This kind of goes back to what I feel like Hans was talking about with the Supreme Court order where Ketanji Brown Jackson's like, this is unconstitutional. And Hans is like, and the rest of the justices were like, the executive order was just telling people to put a plan together. You're saying that the plan is unconstitutional. There's no plan. This was just making a command to create a plan. When it comes to implementing the president's DOGE cost efficiency initiative, I think this is just codifying the existence of DOGE, which I think opens the door also for opportunities for them to do what they probably will do in the rescissions package to actually implement some of these things. But again, scratching the surface, as we just heard from Chad Pergram. Next one, protecting America's bank account against fraud, waste, and abuse. That's definitely something that has been implemented across the board. Continuing the reduction of the federal bureaucracy, which I think has to do with the Supreme Court. Like the president wanted to create a plan to reduce people who are in our workforce, and the district judge said, nuh-uh, which is how they speak. And then the Supreme Court said, yeah-huh. And then now we can create a plan for it.
I don't speak legal.
It's really high level, which is why when I talk to Hans, I say, speak to my level.
And he's like, okay.
Uh-huh. Okay. Stopping waste, fraud, and abuse by eliminating information silos, which means we should probably be working across departments. Iron Dome for America, that's number 10. Unleashing American drone dominance, restoring America's maritime dominance, unleashing American energy, reinvigorating America's beautiful clean coal industry, unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential, declaring a national energy emergency, immediate measures to increase American mineral production, immediate expansion of American timber production, clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States, keeping Americans safe in aviation, and I could go on, but the clock says I have to turn it over to Beyonce right here. 2 o'clock hour, right around the corner. Don't go away.
It's hot. So is it better to set my thermostat at 70, 65, 75, 80? Here's my advice to you. Set the thermostat exactly where you're more comfortable. The difference I would spend from 75 to 80, are you ready for your savings? Now remember, this is for 3 months. In my opinion, you could save $10 to $15 a month. Or I can say, I'm still uncomfortable, so lower it, 70 degrees. So now you're spending $10 to $20 more a month for 3 months. So let's just say to 20. Let's just get crazy and think that it's going to cost you $20 more a month for your comfort. That's $60 in 3 months. Do you have an extra $60? With that being said, if your system is not cooling, then call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. God bless.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Where do you go for your annual eye health examination? Ophthalmology Associates, of course. Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra. Dr. Robert Bersati, he's the one I saw. Or Dr. Andrew Royer. They are available to you and are there to take care of all your vision needs at Ophthalmology Associates. They're on Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Your vision is their business at Ophthalmology Associates. In fact, many of their patients are doctors themselves. That's why they call themselves the doctors, Ophthalmology Associates. Are your eyes itchy and scratchy? It could be more than just allergies. They're the leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. They're the leaders in LASIK and discussing those procedures. And if you're having difficulty reading or driving at night, you have glare from oncoming headlights, could be early signs of cataracts, and they can talk to you about multifocal lens implants. Ophthalmology Associates, youreydoc.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res, and July is actually National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, Zero Res is offering a purchase of 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and get one free, plus $50 off air duct surfaces. Here in St. Louis, you got stains from toasted Rav, dog hair thicker than a summer party at Soulard, and a mystery spot that might be beer, might be barbecue. Let's face it, might be both. It's time to call the pros at Zero Res. They clean without soap, harsh chemicals, or that weird musty smell your Aunt Linda's house always has. They use their powerful, fancy ZR water, so your floors dry fast, feel soft, and smell like victory, like beating Chicago, maybe. Vacuuming is simply not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and the lifespan of your carpet, and Zero Res can handle it all. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, basically every surface in your home. Take advantage of this offer. Buy 3 rooms of carpet clean, you get one free, plus $50 off air duct services. Call today at 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Tell me what the 97.1 FM Talk special. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The Homeland Security Chief doubles down on Lisa Brady. Fox News. She is defending the agency's initial response to the devastating Texas floods.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says FEMA was not impeded by any Trump administration rule requiring budget cuts and staff reductions.
Our Coast Guard, our Border Patrol, BORTAC teams were there immediately. Every single thing I was on, they asked for, we were there.
Noem was asked to respond to reports the agency ran into bureaucratic hurdles and expenses requiring additional approvals.
Nobody there has said anything about that they didn't get everything that they wanted immediately or that they needed. I'm proud of the work that we've done.
President Trump does plan to eliminate FEMA later this year to shift more disaster response and emergency management to the states.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. This as Texas officials also face questions about the local response. Governor Abbott adding several flood-related items to an upcoming special legislative session, including warning sirens. A federal judge puts a birthright citizenship ban on hold.
After the Supreme Court said judges couldn't issue nationwide injunctions against the president's order, ACLU chapters in Massachusetts, Maine, and New Hampshire, along with a number of immigration rights groups, filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of women who say their babies would be affected by this order.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, a judge in New Hampshire, allowing the lawsuit to proceed now, but limiting the scope to infants only. A former Columbia University grad student detained over pro-Palestinian protests is preparing to sue the Trump administration, filing a claim for $20 million in damages weeks after being released by a federal judge as a legal fight continues over efforts to deport him. Lawyers for Mahmoud Khalil say he was falsely imprisoned, maliciously prosecuted, and smeared as anti-Semitic. A Homeland Security official calls the claims absurd, accusing Khalil of hateful behavior that threatened Jewish students. America is listening to Fox News.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Just kind of a typical run-of-the-mill summer afternoon. Partly sunny skies, maybe a spot storm. 92, so quite a bit warmer than yesterday. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 74. Friday, partly sunny, a spot storm. But Friday is the hottest day of the week, 95. Expect scattered thunderstorms on Saturday, some with heavy rain and lightning, 89. Quiet Sunday, and 88. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get not just your AC, but your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan and stay cool this summer. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Should ICE agents wear masks? That's the question we're asking you on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. We are going to have text messaging to the show available at some point. What do you know about that?
I know that we're going to have text messaging available to the show at some point. Did you need me to talk more? Or?
Yeah.
Because you seem busy.
So here's where we're at. We're working on getting everybody kind of signed up for the system. There's training that goes along with it. And as soon as
Yeah, I
that's
did the
done,
training. I was told I needed to do the training, so we'd have the text.
Yeah.
I did the training as well.
So did I.
So it's not our fault?
No.
We didn't do anything wrong.
Ethan!
We just did the training.
Irfan.
We're trained.
He trained under Ethan, but they're waiting for Irfan to do the training too.
They sent it to
But I think we'll be able to. I don't know 100% of how we can utilize it to our best abilities, but the opportunity is going to exist for you to text in and weigh in on these questions as well. But we definitely do have it on the YouTube channel, so you can tell us right now about your feelings regarding masks with ICE. It's a hot button issue, and they're working very hard to make it. The left is working very hard to try to expose the identities of these ICE agents, which I understand that on the surface, but when you add in the context, it's like, oh, you just want to be able to find out who you're going to harass and threaten and exact violence against, like with bullets. I know that yesterday was X's and Y's. We had a nice little conversation about the difference between boys and girls. We should create an intro with that has Arnold Schwarzenegger's little exchange with that kindergartner and kindergarten cop.
Yeah. Can we play that?
I don't know. I think it's biological.
Yes.
I think
that you won't say it, though.
No, I'm going to put it on that little kid.
The
and
little
then we'll
kid
play
can
it,
say it, and then it's okay.
I don't think it's a bad message these days. I think it's yeah. I want to get your opinion of this, Ryan. You, in fact, are male.
Yeah, obviously.
That was a weird, awkward silence.
Well, it's so obvious. I mean, why do we even need to say it?
You are raising a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So here is
alpha male.
You're raising.
No, I'm an alpha male.
Yeah, that's what all alpha males say.
That's true.
Hey, for the record, no alpha male ever has to tell people they're an alpha male.
I don't know about that.
Case in point. I don't know if you're doing this on purpose. If you're not, I feel like not making fun of you for it. I feel bad.
I'm going to just keep you guessing.
I'm not guessing.
I'm not a beta.
Okay. Also things that alpha males don't say. So here's the deal. Michelle Obama and Elaine want you to understand what it's like to be a girl and want people to understand the importance when you're raising girls. A little dose of reality.
Women, we have so many landmines and barriers and don'ts and limitations. It's, I mean, Craig, you're the guy at the table, but I think it's important for all guys listening, especially men raising daughters, to realize that difference. You know, and that thing that inadvertently, as you are loving and raising these beautiful girls, there are so many rules that make us small.
Baked in without our knowing it,
Yeah.
And I wish I could, I remember people saying, oh, well, she's a female doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As opposed to just, she's a doctor.
So, did you hear what they were laying down for you?
There's a number of things that I heard there.
Mm-hmm. Well, break them down. Bullet points.
Okay, the first one is at the end there when she says, she's a female doctor. Now, I don't know what they do on the East Coast, but when here someone says they're a female doctor, that means they're an OBGYN.
Yeah.
Not they are a female and a doctor. Nobody says, oh, they're a doctor and it's a girl.
I don't think you can. I don't think
Nobody
you can.
says that.
I don't think you can say they're a female doctor anymore because
People assume that
that's
they're
no, that's subjective. Like
oh, you don't know whether
going
they're
see
a
if
girl.
we had an intro for that segment that would be specific to this. That boys and girls are different for what particular reasons, according to Kindergarten Cop. That a female doctor. Are there OBGYNs that see people with penises?
I can neither confirm nor deny. Because I don't know. I'm an alpha male.
Says the man at the OBGYN.
If a guy goes to an OBGYN and says I'm an alpha male, I want to meet that guy.
Sure you are, buddy. Pats the back. Anything? What else did you take away from that?
Well, so they cut to a wide shot there where there's another guy sitting in between.
Quiet.
I don't know if that guy chimes in or if he's the producer or what he's doing.
Isn't that her brother?
Yep.
Okay, that's Michelle's brother.
Yeah.
But if there was a silent party in that room, regardless of whether it's that guy or somebody else, I would love for them to just ask the question, are you seriously right now talking about the difference between boys and girls? Because I thought that you guys, both of them, are very far left. I thought that was faux pas. I thought that you couldn't do that. I actually like this discussion. It's a good discussion. I didn't think they could have it.
So what you're saying is that these people who are far left are highlighting the struggles that women go through and accidentally, simultaneously identifying that women are different than men.
It seems that they've done this.
Whoops. It's not the
whoops.
Not the intended. No, that's a funny still right now that we have up
Yes,
of this
it
guy.
is.
He's just like, preach a sister, but I'm not going to say anything.
Also, one other thing that I've noticed. Now, this one wouldn't have come through on the radio. This was purely visual. Behind them are 4 framed pictures. Each of them has nothing in it. They're just blank pictures of just a black background with nothing. That's a little weird. It doesn't really add to their conversation.
I think that those are family photos that have been blacked out.
But why would you put them in your shot? I don't think that's it. Why would you put it in your shot?
It's got to be an aesthetic choice, right?
Yeah. There's some deep meaning behind that our mortal brains can't understand.
I bet there's going to be a conspiracy about it.
So okay, you've done Ryan.
It's going to come out.
When you're listening here, you've gone and dug a little deep, and I think those are both good points. But on the sentiment of what they were actually talking about and addressing, what do you think the point was that they were intending to get across?
Just that there's a difference in how you parent a girl, and that there are things baked in. I didn't hear everything. That's a short clip.
You're saying that there's a difference, but they're highlighting what the difference is.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch what they were saying, what the difference is. I was trying to grasp that, but I couldn't get past the fact that they were talking about that stuff.
I remember people saying, "Oh, well, she's a female doctor."
Landmines and barriers and don'ts and limitations.
Okay, so they're saying there's all kinds of speed bumps in the road for girls because they're girls?
Yes,
That's
exactly
what
what they're saying. That these landmines and limitations come with being female.
I would like them to say, again,
This is a short clip.
Another person in the room. I would love to have a person in the room, which they wouldn't talk about this if they didn't think if they knew there was going to be a debate, they wouldn't have even gone here. But if there was, I would like somebody to say, what are those speed bumps?
And they might have, this is not the full conversation that they had. They might have dug deep into that. This is the clip that we have. Do you think that women, females, girls have struggles because they're girls? And I'm not talking like, oh, you've got your period. I'm not talking about that. But do you think that there are difficulties that women face in society, culturally, in the workplace, in the home, do you think that there is an attention to that difference that is helpful?
Oh, that's attention to the that's helpful. Yeah, I do. I do think that it's a tough question because in this world, everybody has obstacles. So it's not as if you're saying, well, girls have obstacles and boys don't. Of course, girls have obstacles. Boys also have obstacles. So highlighting that one does is not wrong. It's just that in the context of our victimhood culture, it sounds like what you're trying to do is make them into a class of victims when you can actually have a conversation about the things that girls have to overcome that might be different than boys.
What would be beneficial to this conversation is men sitting down and talking about, I mean, are there burdens that men feel that women don't feel? I think that there are definitely, as a female who has worked most of the time in my life in a male-dominated environment, there are things that I have endured. I've been spoken to in ways that definitely would not have been lobbed at a male. There have been things that have been said to me that many people, not at this company that I'm at right now at all, but I have experienced like sexualization types of comments towards me that men wouldn't hear that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, men don't.
If you said it the same thing to a man, he wouldn't take it that way.
Well, I think men talk crudely to men.
Yeah.
But when a man talks crudely to a man, it's different than when a man talks crudely to a woman. Why is that? Because men are more powerful than women. And if you want to talk crudely to a woman with the understanding that in many cases men could overpower a woman, those types of comments can be heard differently than when two dudes are talking to each other. It's just a different context. But I don't think that men are sexualized in the workplace the way women are sexualized in the workplace. So I think that that is something different that women have to endure that men don't. That doesn't mean that every woman is sexualized in the workplace, and that doesn't mean that no man has ever been sexualized in the workplace. So it's not an absolute, but it is definitely something that a woman has to bear more often than a man. But I have to think that there are probably thoughts and burdens that men carry around on the whole, self-imposed or culturally imposed, that make them different than women as well. So I think that it's easy to look at what most people are going to do when they hear Michelle Obama and Julia Louis-Dreyfus sit here and talk about, oh gosh, girls have it so bad. It's like, how many homes do you have? How much success have you had? How much has America proved over and over and over again that they adore you? More than any normal human being will ever experience, exponentially so. These are two women who have benefited from the great generosity of this country, of this culture, and of this financial system that we live in. Capitalism has been very good to these people. So it's easy to sit here and just kind of brush off anything they say because you're like, they don't know what it's like to be me. What do they know? They've got it good, and that's just it. What they're not doing in this conversation, what Michelle and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are not doing in this conversation, is having a whole conversation. They're having half a conversation. And Ryan, you make the best point of all, which is to say, yes, girls do have struggles, have landmines, have limitations put upon them culturally that they have to work through. But you cannot have that conversation and pretend that men don't also. And exactly to what you were saying, this is evidence that can be entered into the court of public opinion to say, we are different. Men and women are different. We have different experiences. We have different decisions that we have to make. We have different choices that we get to make. It's just different. And we've been told by the people on their side of the aisle for over a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades now, that anybody can be anything they want to be. I think if a man were sitting at that table, like you said, you want that guy to speak up. If a man were sitting at the table and be like, I have struggles too, I identify with that, that wouldn't make it into the cut.
Mm-mm.
Not because of who those two are. They would not want that message coming through.
Yeah. Let's take a break. Ethan's coming back with us when we return. Local news, maybe some sports. He surprises us regularly. You got a new intro for him?
I do.
All right. We'll find out what it is. If you'd like to name Ethan's local and sports news segment here that we do each day at about 2:20 or so, you can go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, download it, follow 97.1 FM Talk, and go to click play there, and you can stream the station anywhere you go all the time. Next to that play button, you're going to find a microphone. You can record right into your phone. An intro to this segment, we might use it when you're listening. Let's take a quick break. Ethan, when we come back.
I get a little bit closer.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
He's got a daughter he calls Easter.
AirComfortService.com. Shop with Air Comfort Service when you're trying to solve the AC issue that's not doing the trick. Even maybe you've experienced, gosh, I don't think the furnace is really doing the trick in the cold weather times as well. I think that maybe you haven't checked your attic insulation. Have you? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Air Comfort Service can. And if you have an under-insulated attic, all of that energy that you're paying to utilize to heat your home, to cool your home, it's escaping right through the roof. You're not keeping it in your house. Your HVAC system is working extra hard to try to do the trick, but the energy is just leaving the home. If you get that attic insulation installed properly, if you get it upgraded so that you can, work with what the great HVAC unit that you have in your house right now, you probably don't need to repair it. It might just be that attic insulation. You're going to be back in business in your comfort zone in no time. But it starts with a phone call to Air Comfort Service. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Give Air Comfort Service a call. Tell them Annie sent you. You can find them online at aircomfortservice.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you are still healthy and can qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox. Go to NorDicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay,
Hold up. Check it out. sports, and local.
Ethan Stuff.
They get more and more creative every day.
Is it Ethan Stuff or Ethan's Stuff?
I did not give him the apostrophe S.
Ethan
That
Stuff.
was too much.
So is this about Ethan?
Ethan Stuff. No, it's just anything.
This is where
it's
Ethan
a
tells us
really
what he ate for lunch today.
Wide breadth. He can do anything he wants.
Wide what?
Breadth.
Oh. Go on.
BRETHE.
No. No, that's not it.
Yeah, it is.
Get the man some sugar.
Oh,
sugar.
boy.
More.
Oh, boy.
Sugar water.
Sugar lick.
All right, friends.
Hey, I need some drops from, I need Sugar Crush from Candy Crush. Sugar Crush. I haven't played that game in a long time.
I haven't played that game ever, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, everybody else out there does. Somebody get me the Candy Crush sugar drops.
All right, friends and Ryan. I think that might become the new thing.
It's funny.
Oh, we love each other.
Today's information, I'm going to start off with the sports, and then I'm going to...
Sports.
And then I'm going to go to the local. The sports is still local.
Okay.
Either way. Cardinals top prospect J.J. Weatherholt, a couple of days ago, it was announced that the Cardinals were going to move him from AA to AAA, so one level closer to making it to the Major League roster. This is the best prospect that the Cardinals have had in, I mean, you could argue the last 20, 30 years. He was the number 7 overall pick in last year's MLB draft. A lot of excitement around him. In his first game in AAA, he triples and hits a home run. Just to add more excitement.
Weatherholt?
J.J. Weatherholt, the number 7 overall pick in last year's draft. He came from West Virginia. The Cardinals have the number 5 pick in the upcoming MLB draft, which is, I believe, July 14th. So it's coming up here really soon, just a couple of days during the All-Star break. So that is your Cardinals information for the day. Speaking of Cardinals information in the All-Star break, Brendan Donovan. I don't know if we had mentioned that Brendan Donovan is going to be an All-Star here at the upcoming All-Star game. So exciting for him. He'll be
like him?
I love Brendan Donovan. Brendan Donovan is a lot of fun to watch on the field. Can play all over the diamond. Just a good hitter, but also is a really nice guy, really good person. And the league speaks very highly of him. So very good guy both on and
Maybe
off
tomorrow
the field.
you could do an expose on where Tom Pagnazzi is. It's just an idea. This is your segment. You do whatever you want.
You know, I appreciate you throwing in some thoughts for Ethan stuff.
It's the only other Cardinal Ryan knows. Go on.
Switching to the local here.
I only know Arizona Cardinals.
Thank
What
you,
about
Ryan.
Stanford.
That's Cardinal.
Correct. I was going to bust you on that.
Governor Mike Kehoe. I almost said President Mike Kehoe. Governor.
Whoa, scoop.
What scoop? Governor Mike Kehoe signed several measures today, and one of them was a measure that bans cell phones in Missouri schools.
Talk to me about it.
So, Kehoe spent the day, signed 13 bills, and the first one, or one of the biggest ones, I should say, is a new state law that will now ban cell phones in schools. He said, from implementing distraction-free classrooms to expanding school safety efforts, the legislation signed into law this afternoon impacts both K through 12 students and Missourians pursuing higher and career technical education. This was Senate Bill 68, and like I said, will bar school students from using their phones from the beginning of the school day until the final bell rings.
So they can possess them probably in their locker, in their backpack, but not use them. I wonder if you could even have it on your person and not.
So the measure allows school districts to develop the specifics of their phone policies, but the ban includes no phones during meal times, time between classes, or study halls. So it sounds like you're going to be able to keep them in the building, just not on your person.
I like kids being able to have the phone on their person, but I don't think that they should be utilized. I basically only think they should have them on their person in case of emergencies. And unfortunately, we have too many emergencies in this country.
I'm in favor of a good old-fashioned phone burning.
We'll do that after the books.
Over 70% of likely Missouri voters favored prohibiting students.
How many?
70%.
Yeah.
From accessing cell phones during regular instructional activities across K through 12 schools, a survey found. School policies will also have to outline disciplinary procedures for violations and will include exceptions for students who need devices due to specific educational or health needs. So it sounds like there's going to be, like I said, some stuff figured out in the details, but overall, phones are not going to be allowed in the classroom anymore. So it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is here from Missouri citizens. Some of the other bills that he signed, Senate Bill 43 raises the legal age of marriage in Missouri to 18 with no exceptions. Currently, 16 and 17-year-olds can get married with parental approval. That is no longer the case, and apparently had found that, let's see, where is it here? Roughly 75% of marriages, those marriages were girls that were under the age of 18. But between 2019 and 2021, 225 minors were married in Missouri.
I don't think you need to be married when you're 17.
So most of those weren't like 16-year-old boys marrying like 35-year-old women.
Not that it appears to be, Ryan. No.
You're so weird.
Another new law makes it easier for college students to be proactive in stopping hazing before potentially dangerous situations. The law will provide immunity from prosecution to people who violate anti-hazing laws, but takes a series of life-saving measures to help victims. And the final one that I'll bring up here, House Bill 419, which will give public safety professionals like police officers, firefighters, and paramedics free tuition to attend Missouri College when they reach 6 or more years worth of service. So several things, Mike Kehoe doing several things today to stay busy in office with these bills.
All right.
President Kehoe.
Elevated.
You heard it here first.
All right. Quick break. When we come back, Annie, are you okay? Trisha joins us in the studio, and we'll go through some of the stories she's highlighted that make you scratch your head, and we'll find out how I feel about it. But mostly how Ryan feels about it, because he takes over. Especially when he doesn't have sugar. He has no control.
Or I crash. We don't know which it'll be.
Might be both.
There's a tease. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
TheDiamondShop.net. Shop with The Diamond Shop when you have that special someone in mind. It could be yourself if you want to mark an occasion, if you just have, maybe you've got some money or you want to invest in marking something momentous that has happened to you. I completely support that. Go into The Diamond Shop. You can have a budget under $100. They're going to be able to find something to help you achieve that goal, that dream that you have. But if it's maybe an engagement ring set, if you're looking for a beautiful strand of pearls, if you're looking for some hoop earrings, something special, even for the gentlemen out there, they have amazing selection of watches. And starting July 14th, just coming up here around the bend, they are going to have a great 40% off all in-stock jewelry sizzling summer sale. They're going to have 25% off of watches, which includes Movado watches. And through the rest of the summer, they're going to have a red tag clearance sale with up to 70% off. Beautiful pieces that they're going to have there in stock. You just need to go visit them and see what they have there so you can save. Shop when you go to the Diamond Shop and mention the Annie Fry Show when you do. And be sure, before you actually walk in the store, get on their website, thediamondshop.net, sign up to become a VIP. You get an extra 10% off all red tag clearance items that way. Thediamondshop.net.
We get it. Attention spans just aren't what they used to be. Heads in social media and eyes on Netflix. But what do people do with their ears? Well, for one, they're listening to audio. Americans spend 4.4 hours with audio every day. Oh, and you want the proof? Well, you just sat through this ad that's now approaching 30 seconds. What could you say to a potential customer in 30 seconds? Let Odyssey put together a media plan tailor-made for your unique marketing needs. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Because we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see lots of lawyers' ads. Most seem to be bragging on results, but are they true or misleading? For example, in some cases, a firm may try a case even though the at-fault party has no lawyer, then brag in the ad about their results. My son Matt got one for nearly $50 million, but we never collected one dime. Some lawyers may say they got a result even though they were sitting second chair at a firm like mine, and even though they had little to do with it. Happens all the time. All that glitters is not gold. At Morgan & Morgan, our results are real. Visit forthepeople.com and go to Settlements and Verdicts to see for yourself what your case may be worth before you hire a law firm. Do your homework. Fact check. It's easy and too important not to. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Today, the YouTube live chat poll is, should ICE agents wear masks, yes or no? We've talked about the subject, but we are asking you to weigh in, and we'll give you the results at the end of the show, which is just about 20 minutes away. 2:34 now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise. This world that I found is too good to be true. Standing here beside you, want so much to give you this love in my heart that I'm feeling for you. They say we're crazy. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. My hand, baby, don't ever look back.
Oh, it's so great. This is maybe the top tier song that I remember from childhood.
It's my favorite band based on a president's last name.
Starship.
President Starship.
I guess he comes right after President Kehoe.
No, but they do beat out Linkin Park. Thank you very much.
Anywho, Annie, are you okay? Time for
And
Trisha.
now it's time to play Is Annie Okay With This?
Hi, Trisha.
Hi, Annie and crew.
I say that like the penguin says hi, or the narwhal or whatever says hi to Buddy. Hi, Buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, guys. Me too.
Hi,
He's a nice guy.
Trisha. That's how a commie talks based on yesterday. I think it's the same thing.
Did you hear that yesterday?
Don't worry
we
about it.
determined how commies talk, and it sounds a lot like that.
like this.
Hey,
Can you do the whole segment like
I'm
that?
a dum-dum.
I did suggest today that Ryan do the entire show in a British accent, and we don't acknowledge that he's doing it.
Anybody who mentioned it, we were going to say,
What are you
he's
talking
always
about?
talked like that.
Can we start that now?
Well, it's kind of hard to
I
put it
guess
out
cat's
there.
out of the bag
We weren't
now.
going to tell Ethan, and when Ethan called it out, we were going to shame him for not understanding his coworkers more.
Who's this stupid bloke?
I'll assign him some additional HR training.
Is that like Australian? Yeah,
maybe.
do that. Make him go through sensitivity training with Steve.
Everybody's in on the joke, except Ethan.
But Ethan, who has to do HR training.
Get like the top level Odyssey people involved.
Are you telling us you really didn't understand that Ryan was British? Here he comes into the studio.
When you said crumpet, he really took offense at that. That's used differently.
I just want to see Steve manage that HR training.
We shouldn't tell Steve either. We should just send
Perfect.
Ethan to his
Tell him,
office for
make sure it's a
training.
make sure it's a really a really good rounded ruse. I'm for it. We're gonna do it. Don't tell Ethan.
We won't.
He's standing too close to me. Nobody ever comes
Big
over this
ol'
far.
secret.
All right, what do we got?
Jury deliberates whether Australian woman served deadly mushrooms with intent to kill her in-laws.
Deadly mushrooms?
Yeah, jury in Australia began deliberations on a triple murder trial after a woman was accused of killing her estranged husband's relatives by feeding them poisonous mushrooms for lunch. 3 of her 4 guests, her in-laws and her sister, died after eating beef Wellington patties containing death cap mushrooms. Her husband survived but is very ill. Her lawyers say the poisoning was a terrible accident caused by a pantry mix-up of store-bought and wild mushrooms, which she didn't know were death caps.
Oh, I think I'm going to eat this beef Wellington from my son's estranged
You
wife.
suck at this. We can't pull this off.
It's so natural.
I think I have. Oh, I'm gonna find something. I got something old where you did a report from London. But I don't remember what it was, but you were just like crumpets.
There's people in the
London
background.
Bridge.
Yeah. There's people just saying that in the background. Fish and chips. As they walked around.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, I'm sorry. What's the question?
Annie, are you okay with mushrooms?
Not the deadly kind, but yeah, I love mushrooms. Mushrooms with steak, delish. Big fan of that.
Can I just ask real quick, is the story true that these people decided, let's go have beef Wellington from our son's estranged wife?
I can't
That's a good
tell,
idea.
given the reporting, whether or not they were estranged before she killed the in-laws.
So
'Cause
after
he was
the
at
killing,
the lunch.
they said, we're not a big fan of her.
After
We're
the
estranged
killing,
now.
He estranged himself from
Gotcha.
the situation.
Can you search, Brad, in whatever archives exist? It was about Brexit.
Oh, yeah.
Can you, while we're doing this, let Brad search that up and see if he can find it, because I
Okay.
want to listen to it. No, you have to do the show with me.
That's fine.
He's
I'll do
gone.
the show, too.
I like mushrooms. I like mushroom hunting. Mushroom hunting is very fun to do. Morels. Find them, boil them, fry them in some butter and eat them. Delish. Mushrooms on pizza. My husband and I, when we would get a pizza for ourselves, we would get sausage, mushroom, and onion, and we called it sauce mush onion. Anyway.
Okay, she's good with it. Snakes on a plane. Snake
I'm tired.
on a plane delays a flight in Australia.
Do this one in a British
Really?
accent.
Oh, no. It happened again. Because that happens a lot because it's Australia.
Meanwhile, an Australian domestic flight was delayed for 2 hours after a stowaway snake was found in the plane's cargo hold.
Vegemite.
It initially wasn't clear if the snake was dangerous, but it turned out to be a harmless green tree snake.
Oh, well, then who cares?
That's a
Definitely
little cutie.
harmless.
The snake, which is a protected species, was given to a veterinarian to find a home with a licensed snake keeper.
It was on the plane?
It was in the cargo hold.
So it never made it to where people were?
No, but an employee went down there and saw it, and then there was a whole panic as to whether or not it was a bad snake or a good snake.
Well.
But it was a good snake, so it got rehomed.
It was like Glenda.
What?
Mm-hmm. The Good Witch.
The Good Witch.
It's a snake?
Yep. It had a little pink dress.
That's what they named it.
What is the dress covering?
Which it's ironic
It's a little snake
that the
part.
good snake
Yeah,
is
it's little
green.
snake giblets.
And it's a dress? It's a cross-dressing dress?
Didn't know
That's why they were
snakes
so
had-
shocked. They're like,
Didn't know
this snake,
snakes had
Snake.
this
giblets.
snake wasn't scary at all, but it's fully dressed.
I'm over here combing through the archives for Brexit stuff, and I hear snake giblets.
Covered by a dress. A
What's
pink
Yeah.
dress.
What's the question? It's hard to tell.
Annie, are you okay with pets on airplanes?
As long as it's not anybody else's business.
And you okay with nude snakes?
That's a difficult question. Are
Yes,
we
it is.
talking about the specific question? Yes, I prefer them.
You don't have
Nude.
to take that question seriously.
Again, hard to tell.
I think I'd prefer my snake in a dress.
I would too.
No,
I'd prefer mine.
It doesn't matter.
I'd prefer mine with a little straw hat and some overalls.
Why does he get to keep saying stupid things? And as soon as I start talking, it's done. This is exactly how I preface this. I'm gonna throw this. Don't you dare. You just get your act together right now.
Fine.
You don't get to sit here and enjoy the mayhem you're creating and just giggle.
This reminds me of when he came back from Japan on like no sleep whatsoever, and we were like genuinely concerned. For
No
his well-being.
sleep and no sugar.
Same
Same vibe.
Look at his eyes.
Yeah, I'm a
I
dangerous
don't
driver right now.
Want my snakes in dresses. I want them in pants, and I want to watch them figure that out.
Can we put a little straw hat on their head?
But no shirt?
Correct.
Just
Nobody's
walking around
interested in the
pants
shirt.
like it's Fabio 96.
Just snake and pants and just see the struggle. Do you have it?
Yes.
Play it. I'm trying to tell you to play it. Not the okay,
Wait,
Annie.
this is when Brexit happened?
Just this is you, and this might be like 20. What is Brexit?
Probably 2019.
2019. This is 6 years. Holy cow.
This just in from Captain Obvious.
Thanks, Annie.
I'm live here outside the British Parliament building. You can tell because of all the British people walking by saying British things.
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat
I just spoke with an assistant to Theresa May, who's the Prime Minister here, which I'm told is a lot like our American presidency, but different. Anyway, May, after not getting her version of Brexit passed and almost losing her seat as Prime Minister, has decided to take a different approach.
Like a rebranding of sorts? What's she thinking in place of Brexit?
The main one she seems to be slipping into interview answers and seeing if anyone notices are common weaving, which is a combination of the words Commonwealth and leaving, and depucart, which is a combination of UK and depart. Neither one has so far taken hold, so I'm told May is keeping a couple of others in her quiver as well, including Great Briscape and I'm out of here. Back to you, Annie.
What is the matter with you? How are you still employed here?
Was that before I was on the show?
Maybe. That might have been when you were auditioning.
Yeah, it would have been really close.
I've never heard that.
Really?
Good.
There
Well
are
done.
more. I think that kind of Captain Obvious. We did.
Captain Obvious, we had 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I don't remember.
One was just a report. I remember I was Ubering. No, it was before I was even working here full time. Because I remember stopping in an Uber and recording one of those in my car. I don't remember what the topic was.
Oh, that's crazy. I just always remember the part from there. It's fish and chips, fish and chips.
Walking around saying British things.
What British people do.
Yeah.
How else are you supposed to know they're the Brits? You haven't said fish and chips yet. Are you from Australia or London?
Vegemite.
All right, this is a terrible story for this guy. Dad had to have leg amputated after home pedicure went wrong.
Oh, no.
This out of London, of all places.
Uh-oh.
A man had to have his leg amputated after a DIY pedicure. He suffered severe burns to his feet because of the hot water, and he attempted to treat them with a brand of cleaning and disinfectant product.
What?
Unaware that he had diabetes, the burns led to sepsis, necessitating amputation below the knee.
Maybe he was on an added sugar strike, making bad decisions.
That's possible.
Sounds like something you
when
do.
I've said this many times. I'm like, Katie, when I do a sugar cleanse, do not let me do a pedicure. Because that can happen. And it did.
Annie, are you okay with pedicures?
I need one so bad.
Me
yes,
too, girl.
I love them, love them, love them. My 9-year-old, when she had her 9th birthday, we got all the ladies in the family got together, went to one of our local salon, spa, whatever things, and they were all there. And then I brought her in, and we surprised her. And it was the best. She was overwhelmed. We had the entire row of chairs on the wall, was all her family for a birthday pedicure.
Aw.
But yes, it's absolutely the best. We know that Ryan has had a bumblebee pedicure. Ethan, have you ever had a pedicure?
I have not.
Would you?
Yeah.
That's a yes.
If it was given to me for free.
Brad?
By Brad. By Brad.
No.
Do you have a Brad pedicure?
Absolutely.
No.
Brad, would you do it for me?
No. I like Ethan, but not that much.
You wouldn't do a pedicure?
I might get one, but I wouldn't.
He wouldn't give one.
Nobody's actually giving other
Alright.
people pedicures.
Okay,
A little bit offended.
You wouldn't give one to a bro?
How much?
Maybe.
There's no amount of money for you to give Ethan a pedicure?
There's money.
$85.
But I'm not doing it
$20
for
is
free.
$20.
It's about what it costs.
Truth.
Pedicures are the best.
So
Pedicures are the
good.
best.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you want one more?
Last one.
All right. Weird silicone phone case feels like human skin.
Ew.
And it can even get sunburned.
Oh.
No.
This flesh-like phone case is a creative reminder to protect yourself from the sun. A researcher named Mark Tyser has partnered with Virgin Media O2 to create the skin case. And it feels, looks, and burns just like human skin. He was inspired to create the case after research revealed the staggering gaps between the number of times people check their phone during hours with high UV index and the number of sunscreen applications at the same frequency. Thus, as the phone case starts to burn in real time, it serves as a reminder to slap on some sunscreen. Annie, are you okay with skin case?
No.
I think it would be nice when you're on the phone, you have your hand in your pocket.
All right, I'm getting you one for Christmas.
Feel like
That's
you're
your whole
holding
Christmas
someone's
gift.
hand.
Since you love it so much, I'm getting you 2.
Thank you. I'm going to put it on both sides of my phone.
That's right. And
It'll be hard to use it, but it'll feel like you're holding someone's hand.
You'll feel complete.
Or I get 2 phones.
You're so
I
weird.
can put both hands in my pockets and feel like I'm in a.
Never mind. Feel like what?
I'm in an open relationship.
Oh, God. Wow.
Annie's gone.
Ryan Wiggins, ladies and gentlemen.
That was the last one, right? Why are we not paying
I always appreciate when Ryan says things on the show that my kids, when I come home, they're like, Mom, when Ryan said that, what did that mean?
Don't highlight it.
They bring it up.
They wouldn't
They're
even
watching
know.
right now.
They'd be like, open your. Oh, that
Last
sounds
night I
nice.
had to hear the explanation of motorboating. That's on you.
Yeah, but that's okay. I don't know why. I have no follow up.
Next time the question comes up, I'm going to say, let's get Uncle Ryan on the phone. I'm not doing this. YouTube live chat poll results when we come back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan are a phone call, a text message away your closing cost free loan. If you use the Bagel Loan, which only comes with Stewart's American Mortgage, you are going to be connected with the best deal in town. You're going to get that new mortgage for your new home purchase or even a refinance. It could be on a home you've purchased here recently. It could be on one that you want to get some cash out of. Of course, values have gone sky high on all of these homes, so you've got a lot of home equity. Maybe you want to tap into it. Reach out to Stewie and talk to him about your particular circumstance, and he will tell you exactly how he can help you. And I'm going to be real with you. If he thinks, you know what, this might not be the best option for you, he's going to tell you that as well. He'll be honest. He has been with me many times. You can trust him. I certainly did twice with a bagel loan for my family. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. That's a number you can text. That's a number you can call. And it goes directly to my friend Stewie. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Summertime is finally here. That old ballpark man is back in gear out on 49. Man, I can see the lights. School's out and the night's rolling, man. Just like a long lost friend you ain't seen in a while. You can't help but smile.
This song just sounds like summer. I know that's the point, but he did a really good job at it. Before we get to the results of the YouTube live chat poll here, I found this to be wild. This is a post on X from Eric Doherty, and he puts a lot of stuff out there. He's just like always at the forefront of what's going on, so I enjoy it. It's a good follow. Yeah, dang it. So listen to this. The Tim Walz question is a very good question. How in the world did Kamala Harris pick Tim Walz? This is the post. Just in. Kamala Harris's mind was made up about choosing Tim Walz for vice president in 2024 after the 3 finalists made a simple choice for what to drink. Walz chose Diet Mountain Dew and the other 2 picked water. Kamala wanted to appeal to rural voters, so she went with Mountain Dew. She also enjoyed the fact Walz had, quote, no interest in himself, end quote, per the New York Post.
Rural people hate water.
Hot take.
According to left coasters. Like, oh man, if you go to Kentucky, just be prepared. You're never going to see water.
Are Kamala Harris and Tim Walz just still sitting in their rocking chairs at home on their front porch going, how did we lose?
Well, Tim Walz is because he's rural. Kamala is
Just
in a
ask him.
Chase Lounge.
Yeah. Something fancy.
Rocking, though.
How offensive is it to think that these individuals, specifically Kamala Harris, thought as soon as they see the Diet Mountain Dew, they're going to know what to do. Do the Dew. Tim Walz, he's just like me.
Is there a chance that did this really
Not
happen?
it.
I mean, they walked them all into a room and said, you're the 3 vice presidential candidates. Please have a drink from the vending machine. Here's $1.
I can only imagine Tim Walz like profusely sweating like so many decisions. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Do the Dew. I'll do the Dew.
One of them gets a red Gatorade, and they're like, we don't know what to make of that. That wasn't even on our list.
It's like the end scene from The Last Crusade.
The New York Post says a new book on the end of Joe Biden's presidential campaign and birth of Kamala Harris sheds light on the process behind the vice president choosing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate, a decision widely panned by pundits in retrospect. I just think about how much damage Tim Walz did. Like I would not have been able to come up with Tim Walz as the governor of Minnesota.
No.
He clearly was popular enough to win the governorship in Minnesota, so he was doing okay in that regard. Who is wanting more Tim Walz in their life right now?
Maybe downtown Minneapolis.
That's probably about it.
Or St. Paul. That's about it. Also, just really quick, if you are like West Virginia, Appalachia, are you like, I need to go get a Mountain Dew, but make it a diet?
I'm watching my added sugar. Quote, Pelosi privately pushed for him, too, because she'd worked with him in Congress, according to the book. This is with the New York Post. The pitch for Walz was straightforward. He could appeal to white voters across the blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and hopefully help Harris with male voters. He'd never lost an election. Narrator, until now. YouTube live chat poll results. Should ICE agents wear masks, Brad? Yes or no?
Yeah, they need to protect themselves.
Brian?
Yeah, they have to.
Yes, Annie. Ethan, what do we got?
266 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Should ICE agents wear masks? Not a close one today, guys. I thought it might be. I thought this one might be split a little more. It's not. 82% say yes, 18% say no.
Yeah, stop acting a fool on the other side, and then maybe we can understand and have another discussion about why they shouldn't have to wear masks. But you know what? We're super supportive of wearing masks to protect yourself here on the Annie Fry Show. So why wouldn't we with these ICE agents? Keep it here, The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Next.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. And you know, your home is your sanctuary. You need to take the first step to peace of mind with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer in the country, Generator Supercenter. We learned the hard way here in St. Louis during the tornado recently that power can be knocked out. But even outside of that, what if the power grid fails and it's 100 degrees here in St. Louis? You don't want to be that person. Get with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis today. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Tell them that we sent you along. 97.1 FM Talk is proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan charity clay shoot happening Thursday, August 7th at Strathelbin Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinals standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebs for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Don't wait. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who've served. 97.1 FM Talk, backing our veterans every step of the way.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax relief